coming to your town.
Hola, peeps. We are live for another Big Brown breakdown. I think this is episode number 9.
It is.
It is number 9. As I'm speaking to you guys, it is Wednesday afternoon in lovely Los Angeles, California. And the power is out. There's a power outage in Los Angeles. And it happened. The power conked out about, I don't know, I'd say we're 3/4 done with the interview with Lyoto and Rener Gracie, who are my guests today. The wonderful and powerful Rener Gracie. If I were to get married, that man would be one of my groomsmen. That's how close we are. He also just happens to be one of the greatest jiu-jitsu teachers on the planet as well. And then, of course, my longtime friend and sparring partner, Lyoto Machida, the Dragon, joins us. He's the one fighter that my dad likes more than me in the history of fighting. My dad would prefer him over me all day, and I don't blame him. So I know we need to follow up that Robin Black podcast with a fun one. So I sent out the Brazilian acai signal, and Rener and Lyoto answered. I want both of them on because Rener and Lyoto are so close, and Rener helps him with his English. Not that Lyoto couldn't do it by himself. His English is that good. But the dynamic between the two of them, they're so close, I figured it'd be a fun time, and I think you guys would dig this one. As you guys are listening to this is usually where I pitch the live shows, which the Fighting Kid is live next week in San Francisco, Thursday and Friday night. Thursday, I think, is sold out. Friday is damn near, but there are tickets still available. tfatk.com, San Francisco, Cobb's Comedy Club. Brian Callen and myself will be out there. Brian is in Austin, Texas right now as you guys are listening to this. Go see him live, Cap City. He's one of the best in the business, and I don't think he's ever been more sharper and more funny than he is right now, if that's even a word. But yeah, go see Brian Austin, Texas. And again, I'm the positive response I've gotten from these breakdowns is overwhelming in a positive way, and you guys feedback means the world to me. So the Big Brown Live, the first one we're ever going to do at Ice House in Pasadena, California, is sold out, which is insane for a guy who used to get punched in the face who's doing live comedy fight breakdown shows. And to sell out my first show is a true honor, and that's my hat's off to you guys. And I promise you guys I won't let you down. We have another one coming up soon that I'll announce very soon. It's in Southern Cali, like way Southern Cali. I'll give that hint. And it rhymes with Ban Biondo. I don't know if that rhymes.
Biondo?
Well, I meant to rhyme it with San Diego. Yeah, it's been a long day. I'm on my 3rd cup of coffee. You guys figure out. It will be in San Diego, and that's end of April. Nothing has been signed, but that is what is the next event for the live Big Brown Breakdown. But the one Ice House sold out March 2nd, right before UFC. I think that's 209, that major stat card.
208.
Is it 208?
Brooklyn?
No, fuck no. I'd never do a live one for Brooklyn. No, 209.
Okay.
No, the stat card 209 with Woodley, Wonderboy. Rashad's fight just got announced on there. There's a bunch of fun fights on there. So we're doing it before that one, and the other one's in April, which will be in San Diego. I'll announce all that stuff, but those are sold out. Yeah, so last night I had to sit at the Laugh Factory. Tuesday nights at the Laugh Factory, you know me, they invite me, I come, and I'm honored that they have me up there and doing that stuff. And man, there's ups and downs, and I think that's why I'm drawn to comedy and entertainment. Is it's very similar to fighting in the sense that you're gonna get humbled pretty quick. I got laughs last night, but if you guys listen to the show, I don't even know how to put this. So I have good friends who are gay, and I have no issues with that. I have family members who are gay. I could give two shits, and I'm actually pro-gay marriage, all that stuff. I have bits in my act that reference dicks and dick sucking, and it's a hint that you are gay, and this is a signal that you are gay. Well, before my set, the show before me was a pro-gay show, and the host was I think transsexual, and so they stayed. So during my show, when I make those references, it went well, but it's definitely a different crowd. But it's good, man. That those are learning things, and you tweak and find things, and I'm sure I'll be able to make some changes for my set, which is Thursday night, tomorrow night at the Comedy Store. And it's a stacked lineup. Neil Brennan, who I just watched his special last night. If you haven't seen it, it's, I think, 3 mics. It's so unique, man. That guy's brain, I'm so jealous of his brain. I just am. The way he thinks about things and breaks down things. If you haven't seen it, Neil Brennan's special on Netflix right now, it's one of a kind. It's so unique in this world full of 1-hour specials where everyone does the same thing. It's different material, but everyone kind of does the same thing. Not Neil Brennan. I think that's why I'm drawn to this dude. Is he's a zebra amongst very, very funny other sheep. So it's great if you haven't seen that. But he's on the Comedy Store tomorrow night. They just announced 2. A bunch of guys. I'm trying to think who else is on there. Where's my phone at right now? Oh, Kevin Nealon is on there from Saturday Night Live. I gotta get a picture. I always feel weird. I'm back there with all these guys, and I want pictures, but I don't want to seem like that weird kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind if they asked me, or if I'm around fighters and they ask me. But for me, it's always I don't know. I'm weird about it. So Jay Moore, Neil Brennan, Steve-O, Tony Hinchcliffe, and Skylar Stone. And then it says special guest. I'm here to tell you guys the special guest is Kevin Nealon, and that's at Comedy Works tomorrow night. Comedy Store. It's the Comedy Store off Sunset. Show starts at 8:30, February 2nd, 8:30, Comedy Store, main room. The special guest is Kevin Nealon from Saturday Night Live. Are you kidding me? We'll see if I can, I would love to get a picture of that guy. Again, I'm a Saturday Night Live child, so that's a big deal to me. But that's all that's going on here, man. So there's a lot going on in the MMA world. And then we will play the interview where the power shut off right when we're in the thick of things. But it's some interesting stuff. And obviously these guys are my friends, so we get into it. It's not, I didn't tread lightly over any subjects. The USADA stuff with Lyoto, the Halleck stuff with Rener. You guys are listening to all that. But let's break down these events. And there are fights this weekend. Not a major one, but neither is the pay-per-view next week. But what do you got, Jen?
All right, first one. Let me adjust this guy real quick.
We're doing the so hood style. The power, everyone's gone. The power's off in the studio. Just let me set this for you guys as you're listening to this. The power's off. We can't use our normal recording devices. We're not in the studio equipment won't work. So we're on Chin's laptop. We recorded the rest of Rener Lyoto from the iPhone, which we're going to add to the audio. You'll still get the video where the power shut off, which I think is going to be hilarious. Zero Dark 30 Big Brown Edition. And then now we're recording the current events and this intro on this
portable Zoom H1, battery operated.
I mean, thank God for technology, man. Otherwise, we'd be screwed. When the power shut off, I thought we lost everything, and I was so mad.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have the audio for sure. I mean, for sure.
We have it for sure, fingers crossed, but we have the audio for sure off the video.
Yeah.
Which, so it might be a little shitty, but hopefully we still have it on the big bad boy over there.
Yeah, we should, so we'll find out, I guess.
We'll see, guys. We're trying. All right, what do you got, boss?
All right, first current event, and we were talking about this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. We were talking about the immigration ban.
Yeah, with
the
Brian.
Travel ban,
yeah.
So Mousasi might be the first victim in the MMA world to be affected by it. There's a chance, just a chance, that he might not be able to come back for the UFC 210 card.
Wow.
Yeah, because he has Iran. He's from Iran. His background. That's where he was born.
Yeah, and that's one of the countries. Places.
And he's in the Netherlands, so he'll be traveling back here.
Damn, man.
Yeah,
that's scary. And he's supposed to fight Chris Weidman, right? Yep. The UFC's working on it. I wonder how that works, because do they make it? Because they didn't make exceptions for doctors or anything like that. Like, there was lawyers and doctors and scientists. Some of the head researchers were on a plane. They didn't make exceptions for them. So you're batshit crazy to think they're making an exception for a steel cage fighter because he needs to make UFC 210.
Yeah.
The government's going to go, what? I don't give a fuck. That's such a bummer.
The funny thing about this is, you know how Dana White
just put it on the England card. Sorry, just put it on the England card. Go ahead.
You know, Dana White was friends or is friends with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
People are talking about how that could be the inside way of them getting him over here.
Okay, let me know how that conversation. Go ahead and text Donald Trump. And Donald's going like, all right, we'll make an exception for this cage fighter. And then the floodgates open when people hear that. Then it's off to the races and you're just going to get shit on. I got one for you. Instead of that lame main event you put in England, why don't you put Mousasi and a Chris Weidman in England? There you go.
Boom. Next current event. So, this is what I want to ask you about. So, DC went on his Instagram saying he's upset about some betrayal. And you see Khabib in there with 2 other Russian fighters from AKA.
Okay.
And then I didn't realize the connection until I looked at Ali Abdelaziz's Instagram. So Rumble just signed with Ali to be his manager. Right, this came out of nowhere too. So I don't know if this is a joke or not, but Dan Cormier and Khabib are in this picture upset because Khabib is also signed
by Ali.
Yeah, Ali. So do you know anything about this?
I don't have a problem with it. Ali's a manager, to these guys. It's no different. There's managers in the NFL who represent Von Miller and represent Cam Newton. So a offensive player, and they're going to compete against each other. There's agents and managers in the NFL who represent a cornerback who's going to go against a receiver. There's someone who maybe the same guy represents Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. They don't give a shit. It's all the same. It's money. They're going to do what's good for their client, but it in no shape or form, or there's no way it affects what's going on with DC or what's going on with Rumble Johnson. It's just a business thing. So I don't think it's a loyalty thing.
Yeah,
it's just a business decision. I think it's funny for DC to be upset. Like this, I think it's funny to go on his Instagram and social media and do it, but it's not a real issue. You have to be crazy to make this an issue. If he's thinking about this and this being an issue, he's not in the right frame of mind to beat Rumble Johnson. But it's business. And that's the evolution of the sport. There's so many, there's agents in Hollywood who they work with, 2 actors and they're competing for the same job and one gets it. They don't give a shit. Yeah. The agent gets paid one way or the other. It's just business.
I agree.
It's the evolution of the sport. Oh, dude, I don't want to talk to you about it. I know it's in the current event. Last night on Viceland, do you watch Noisy?
I used to.
God damn, you need to get on it.
Really?
Especially because they go to Korea and they do K-pop.
K-pop? Oh, dude, I'm definitely watching that one then.
And there's a band, Big Bang.
Yeah.
And they have the lead singer. They interview the lead singer.
There's Taeyang?
Yes.
Yeah.
Real quick, dime piece. Straight dime piece.
He's like tiny dime piece.
Is he tiny?
Yeah,
he doesn't look
guy.
tiny. But
he doesn't. But he is pretty tiny. Yeah.
Is he tiny?
Yeah.
Either way, good looking dude. He's like
Very
the Bieber of Koreans, correct?
Yeah.
Like he's a big deal. So they follow them, and then they follow these girl bands. But it's all the agencies put these people together. Yep. So was it Big Bang Bang or Big Bang?
Big Bang.
Big Bang.
Just like Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. Okay. So Big Bang, they trained straight up 17 hours a day, Monday through Sunday, no days off, didn't see family, no girlfriends. They can't have girlfriends. They decide who they date. They train for 3 years behind the scenes, and then came out like, hey, we're a new band.
Yeah.
And now they're fucking huge. And then they're showing the agencies put together these girl bands. And South Korea is the #1 place for plastic surgery now.
Of course. I knew that.
Because they're saying that to be a superstar, pop star, you have to have a certain look. So these girls are getting their eyes done and their chins and even guys nonstop. Yep. It was fascinating, man.
Literally almost every single girl, I don't want to be controversial, but almost every single girl, even when they're young, they get work done in the pop groups.
That's what they're saying. They're talking to the lead surgeon there, and he was saying something like 85% of anyone in the music industry has had work done. Yeah. You just have to compete, and even young kids will. And the agencies and the doctors talk, and it might not even be the lead singer's choice or a backup singer's choice, but you got to do it because they're paying your bills. And then what's crazy is you get evaluated, and they were talking to these girls what's your schedule like? And I was blown away. I was like, that sounds terrible. Why would anyone want to do that? They're training 17 hours a day, waking up, training. They pick who you're dating. Probably not allowed to date.
You're not allowed to.
You don't really have your own opinion. They label you. So the girls band, there's a girl band. They're anywhere from 20 to 22 years old, and they went around so what's your thing? And one's cute, sexy, smart. They tell you what you're gonna be.
They have concepts.
Yes.
Every single one. There's a
it's
rapper,
cookie cutter.
dancer.
It's a machine.
It is.
You're familiar with all this?
Yeah, dude. I never talked to you about this, but I'm sure we'll talk about it later. But the last company I worked for is a Korean. This is the biggest Korean television network.
Yeah.
And one of the shows I worked on was a Korean pop show.
Really?
So we'll talk about that in detail later.
Dude,
but
that's
it's
so
crazy.
interesting. I could not get enough of it. And then there was this girl, she was 12, and she goes to school full time. Her dream's to be a K-pop.
Yeah,
A
K-pop.
K-pop superstar. So she goes to school full time. Then she takes dance classes, singing classes, then a hip hop dance class. They say she will eat her dinner and do her homework on the car ride to all this stuff.
Yeah.
Gets home about 11 o'clock at night, wakes the next morning up at 6 a.m., restarts all over again. They have no life.
Yeah.
And then they were showing how in Korea, like the school system, like the parents are so hard on the kids because they want them to go to a good university. So the kids are studying nonstop. And they come home with like a C or B, it's like death.
Yeah.
And I was watching, they were showing like how much they're studying. I'm like, dude, how do Americans keep up? How can Americans keep up with the discipline of these people?
Yeah.
And also, and I respect this to the fullest, and I think it'd be dope if we did it too. The K-pop superstars are required, they don't get paid to perform for the troops.
Oh, I didn't know that they were.
Yeah, they have to. So it's their duty to the country where they have to perform for the troops who are in service. So like the women's group are like, yeah, we do it like 3 or 4 times a year. It's just part of the tour and we have to do it.
That sounds rad.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And then they showed the Big Bang group. They came out with that song, something like Bang Bang, and they
Bang, bang, bang.
bang bang bang, and they blast it to North Korea.
Oh, yeah,
that's how they torture them. They
propaganda, yeah.
blast it nonstop. And then they had one guy who's obviously suppressed in North Korea. He snuck over to South Korea and he saw K-pop. Was like, what the fuck? This is real. Like this is what life is like. So now this dude takes all these K-pop CDs, but he labels them like pro North Korea, and he puts them in an air balloon and floats them over to North Korea. So he's hoping someone picks him up. You know what happened to his family? That because
Oh crap! Don't tell me.
What's his name? Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong. They know what he's doing.
Jong-un or Kim Jong-il? Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un, right? Yeah. Kim Jong-un found out that he was doing that, and they can't get him because he's in South Korea. He'll never come back to North Korea. So you know what they did? Oh, his mom, dad, sister, brother are all in prison for life, and he doesn't even know if they're alive now. It's crazy.
So crazy.
So I went on a weird tangent there. It just hit me, though. Noisy on Viceland is fucking amazing. They did Paris before, which was crazy because it's all Muslim rappers and how they're looked at in the communities. It's insane, man. And then before that, they did San Francisco with G-Eazy and E40. It's so fascinating.
G-Eazy's a white dude, or is he?
G-Eazy's the biggest white rapper in the game right now. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? The white guy from San Francisco. Yeah. He's from the Bay Area. Okay. But they did all the Bay Area rappers. It's my favorite show on TV. But the K-pop one, I was so into it.
So the K-pop one, just to jump on that, they do those trainings. Sometimes they're 4 to 5 years, and if they don't cut it, like if people don't pick up on whatever that group that comes out, they're pretty much done.
They're done. That's what they're saying.
They'll try to reshuffle things around and make them come out again. But if you don't make it,
you're done.
All that time is gone.
They were saying like a 12-year-old girl, she goes through all the necessary steps. Agency should get plastic surgery, should dedicate her life to this. And if she's like, for whatever reason, not clicking, it's not picking up, shouldn't have the talent, they're just like, we're good.
Yeah.
And you spent your entire life on that.
It's very, very
crazy. Koreans do not fuck around.
And when they finally make it, their tour, the way that they, promote, they don't sleep at all. There's literally no sleep while you're a Korean star
terrible.
Until you retire.
I was like, why would you want to do that? Crazy. It sounds terrible, man. And then my other thing is I can't imagine what their contracts are like.
They're terrible too, I heard.
There's no way they're making Bieber money. No. Like, they showed a live sold-out concert for Big Bang. I was like, oh my God, it's a lot of people. They must be making bank. And I was like, God, I don't think so, though. Because if they invest all that money into them, they're like, when you get big, this is what's happening. I bet they're not balling like you'd think.
They're still millionaires, but nowhere near
not like
what
here.
You'd be here, yeah. Here's way above them.
God, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, check it out, brother. It's
so
good. It's so good. Yeah, that was a weird tangent. Yeah, sorry, man.
No, all good. Did you want to talk about the Cormier and Anthony Rumble coming?
Yeah, that's at UFC 10 Buffalo. That's a big fight for Buffalo. The small town Buffalo. Shout out to Buffalo. I haven't been there in a while. Listen, DC. I think Rumble Johnson did the right thing by waiting and not jumping in and taking a silly fight like we see so many guys do. It's such. He goes, I'll wait. I'd wait a year. I'd wait 2 years to fight DC just to get my shot at the belt. Because especially at 205, it's so tough, man, to get your shot, your crack at the belt. You have no idea what's going to happen. Not that he can't beat most 99% of the guys in the world, but things do happen. So waiting is by far the best business decision, and now we're getting in Buffalo. This is a tough fight for DC, man. Last time DC fought was what? Anderson Silva, UFC 200?
Yeah.
A lot of time off, and he had surgery. This is a fun fight, I think. And if you remember, in their first fight, Rumble rocked him, sat DC down. We've never seen DC sat down. Remember, he punched him and he flew and hit his face on the mat and popped up. So I like this fight, man. I like this fight. This is one of those fights. Obviously, it's 5 rounds, but Rumble Johnson, the first 8 minutes is just probably the most dangerous fighter in the world in the first 8 minutes. After that, it's DC's dance all day.
Yeah.
Fun fight though. Not an easy one to call either.
Yeah, I have no idea who's going to win that one.
It's not an easy one to call at all.
Since we're on this, Dana White, remember he went on Jim Rome's show way back in the day saying, like, he'll never give John Jones a headlining event ever again.
Yeah, after he pulled this stuff with UFC 200.
So he basically said now.
You're singing a different tune now when you have no stars. When you have 0 stars, you're singing a different tune. Because John's one of the top 5 guys. And even John's not a huge draw numbers-wise. He's good, but he's not like Conor or Ronda or Brock. But he's in your top 5 to 6. You have to have a guy like that. They can't afford to be like, no, we're not doing that anymore. You just can't. They're not in the position to. Yeah. Like, numbers are great and everything UFC is all good, but if you look at the stars and you look at where Conor's at, and I'm sure you have Conor's pay-per-view stuff on there. We'll get to that, but you look at what Conor's doing. He's probably not fighting for probably a year. Ronda just basically announced she's retiring, according to Dana White. So Conor's not fighting for a year. Ronda's out. Brock's playing grab ass in WWE. He's out. So you have to have a guy like John Jones. They don't have the luxury of going, no, we're not investing time in you or marketing dollars in you anymore. You have to now. You have no choice. Yeah, and it's also right because the same thing with Conor McGregor, how they're like, well, we're going to strip the featherweight title from him, and if he decides to fight Floyd, we're going to strip the lightweight title from him, and then, oh, John, you got suspended, we're going to strip the light heavyweight title from you. I get they have to do it, but the fans know the real deal. John Jones is hands down the best light heavyweight on the planet of all time. Have you ever seen him lose?
No. I mean, just that controversial thing.
The Matt Hamill, I fought on that card. He beat the shit out of that guy. So we've never seen him lose. No one's ever seen him lose. We've really never seen a chink in his armor. He's had some wars with Gus Finn. The DC fight wasn't close. The OSP fight, he was just rusty, but he still pulled off and destroyed I wouldn't say destroyed. He still handled the number 6 ranked guy in the world, who's an explosive southpaw. Everyone knows he's the real deal, and that's why I think the fans have not gravitated towards Daniel Cormier, because no one thinks of him as the real champion. Yeah. And it's a bummer because I love DC and he's so goddamn talented and he'll beat anyone and everyone in the world not named John Jones. But I think he probably might have had his best shot to beat John when John fought OSP. Yeah. So he's so rusty. But now that John Jones has had this crazy layoff and all this drama, and then he's going to come back and fight DC, this helps DC because DC's God willing, or if you're a DC fan, he gets through Rumble and then John's suspension comes up and then he fights John. So the DC has no ring rust. It'd be a problem for John in that fight. But we all know John's the best light heavyweight in the world. He just is. We've seen him fight and he beat him. So there's no controversy there. And then the same thing with Conor McGregor. He's the best 145er in the world. You ever seen him lose at 145? Me neither. You ever seen him lose at 55? Me neither. I've seen him beat 2 champs. Starch both of them.
Crazy ones.
One guy in 17 seconds or 13 seconds, whatever the fuck it was. Another guy he destroyed Eddie Alvarez in the second round. So those are your real champs. No matter what you do with the belts, that everyone knows what the deal is here.
Since you're on Conor, so we already talked about it before that he was on pay-per-view interview with Ariel Helwani. It sold out. So I don't know if you want to talk about here some of the stuff that they did talk about. Oh, not that one. Right here.
I saw most of it. Like, I know he talks about, so his big announcement that he was going to do at UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden was he's launching Notorious Promotions, McGregor Promotions, which is just more of a sign that he is going to fight Floyd Mayweather. And this is what I love. If you guys remember when I was on Jay and Dan, long before that, I went, just looking at Conor's path, you look at 55, you look at 45, and then I see this huge opportunity with Floyd Mayweather. His team isn't stupid. That is by far the biggest thing, and everyone's going to gravitate. He'll make more off that one fight if he fought the entire 55-pound division, entire 45-pound division. It's also a win-win for him. Either way, it's a win-win for him. So, it's to me, I was like, that's what I would do. His team's smart. I know the insides because of my connections to other guys that they want to make that fight happen. And so when I'm saying that, everyone's giving me shit, and all these other credible analyst in the game. I'm not an analyst. I'm just a guy who talks shit. But I'm not a journalist. But all these other MMA journalists going, that's stupid to even pay attention to it. And now that it's coming to fruition, it's getting closer, going, no, I never said that. No, I said at the time it wasn't happening. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Let's see. In this, he talks about Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson. He goes, they're not on my level, and fuck Mayweather. Okay, well, that had nothing to do with it. He's not on their level as far as being a draw, anything like that. He's right on that. Let's see. The UFC says, at the end of the day, my shadow looms large over the entire featherweight division, over the entire lightweight division, over the entire UFC, and he'd be right. That's how big of a star he is. And the Floyd Mayweather thing, again, I have my eyes right now on Floyd Mayweather. I think the best thing here is, if you just look at these highlights, you think, God, he's going bad on the UFC. But if you listen to the actual interview, he's actually very in favor
he wants to
of the UFC and work with them and have them part of this huge fight. And the UFC would be crazy not to be part of it. But you look at these headlines, the Cheeto Fingers right, and these breakdowns, or where the fuck you want to call this, where they just take snips of it and it looks like he's going bad in the UFC. You would think one thing, but when you hear him talk, he's definitely not doing that, which is smart on his part. And then what you say about George St. Pierre and
that's the one I wanted to ask you about.
Which one? Go ahead and read it, brother.
So he said that the only reason why George St. Pierre joined the MMAAA is because he wasn't getting the deal that he wanted, and George St. Pierre kind of said that Conor was saying, he was saying that Conor makes enough money as he's doing now, but he could make more. And then Conor's like, dude, don't put my name in your mouth. If you join that organization because you're not making the money you want to make, don't say I'm not making whatever.
Yeah. So both these guys are right. So George St. Pierre joined the MMAAA, which stands for Mixed Martial Arts Athletes Association, who I also converse with too. He'd be right saying the reason George joined them is because he didn't get the deal he wanted. That's exactly why we're forming this association. Yeah. There you go, Conor. So you'd be right on that. Now, when George St. Pierre says, yeah, Conor making great money, could be making more, that's also true. They're both true. And they all point towards the association being a pro fighter thing. So, but Conor said he is in favor of it and he thinks it's a good idea and we need something. I think everyone agrees on that.
Yeah. I was going to find a quote, but it's all good.
All good. Yeah, I mean, I heard people were dressed up in tuxedos and three-piece suits for this event, and the floor seats were going for $2,100. Like, it was an event, man, an event. There's no other. I don't think there's any. This is why I think this is why I think Conor's a bigger star than Floyd. You think if Floyd held a press conference in Las Vegas, his hometown, and charged, you would sell out a 5,000 seat stadium?
I don't know.
Not happening. He's not controversial enough. No one's like, all right, whatever. His fan base isn't going to do that. Conor's is.
And Conor's fan base really like him, right?
They love him.
Some Floyd's, hate him.
Yeah, even African Americans hate him. Like,
so that's why would they
it's like a love-hate. Yeah, it's not happening. And Floyd's not great at interviews. Like, it's not intriguing. Like, he's such a businessman. He's so well established. His interviews aren't great. Where Conor's are dropping some fucking gems. Like, you're going to get an entertainment value for it. And he doesn't do long interviews.
Oh, Mayweather?
I'm sorry. Conor doesn't do long interviews. He really doesn't. So
what's great about what they did there too is apparently Conor didn't ask any kind of questions about what questions are going to be asked towards him. He just said,
yeah, I heard Ariel say that. It was like,
Crazy, right?
they didn't tell me do this, don't ask this. He was just like, go. He's an open book.
and he was
I
rolling.
think it's so good, man. That fight's happening, I'm telling you. Because now there's so many expectations of this huge magnitude of a fight, a biggest fight in combat sports histories, period, bar none. It's so big, and we can see it happening, and Floyd wants it, and McGregor wants it. And it's the only thing Dana talking about, because it's the only thing going on in the UFC big right now. It really is. Name something else. Nothing. As far as this magnitude, it's so big. So Dana's focused on it.
That, yeah.
UFC focused on it. Fox Sports is focused on it. Every Conor, Floyd, boxing, any news outlet, TMZ, you name it, everyone's focused on Floyd Mayweather fight. Now imagine something happens, the UFC doesn't let him do it or something like that. Okay, here's Conor McGregor versus the winner of Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson. It's such a letdown. There's so much pressure to make this fight happen. It almost has to happen. Now, skill-wise, Tony and Khabib are nightmares for Conor. Take that out of the equation. It doesn't matter. It's still a letdown. Because what we want to see is this pink elephant of a fight over here. This shit show of a pink and green Irish elephant. But you're going to try and sell us on the same old circus with Tony versus Conor or Khabib versus Conor. And I'm telling you, man, it's going to hurt them. They have to let that happen and then go back to that. And hopefully by then, Tony and Khabib's names are bigger. And Khabib's, if he's the interim champion, he's destroying dudes and he's this Russian beast and America grabs onto him, then you can make that fight. But as talented as those guys are, it'd be a complete lackluster event compared to Floyd versus Conor. They have to do Floyd versus Conor now. That's the mastermind behind Conor.
I want to see it so bad now, too.
Yep. Now imagine him going, it might happen, but for now, we're going to give you Conor versus Tony in Anaheim. What the fuck? As a purist, you're like, hell yeah, that's the great fight. As an entertainer, businessman, you're like, oh, god damn it. You know?
Yeah.
And also, if Conor goes back and loses to Tony or Khabib, the Floyd's fight's off the table. Conor can't lose. The one loss to Nate, that we can deal with that. Bigger guy, he didn't know what he's dealing with. He's so much bigger. It was an MMA fight. He got choked out, but he redeemed himself and ended up beating him. We can deal with that. But if you were to lose at any point now in the UFC, that Floyd fight is gone.
Wow.
There's too much to risk to have him fight anyone else.
Definitely wouldn't be anywhere near
No,
if they did it
it's
now,
gone off the table. And Floyd wouldn't even entertain it if you were to take a fight and lose. So there's too much riding on Conor to get done. Conor can go fight Floyd, make whatever, $150 million, then take one more fight or not. Come back to the UFC, take one more fight, but he's set. No matter what happens with his fight with Floyd, which I think will go all 12 rounds and he'll lose. But I think goes all 12 rounds. He makes, $100-something million, and then you're set. You don't have to worry about Khabib. You don't have to worry about Tony and these monsters at 45 and 55.
Damn, I want to watch that fight.
Yep. What else you
Or
got,
the
brother?
boxing match. Amanda Nunes finally came out and apologized to Ronda Rousey.
Hey, lady.
It's been pretty long, right?
About 2 months too late.
Yeah.
But I think she realized like how much shit she was getting, how bad she was looking as a champion, and Ronda retiring. She's like, okay, I gotta do something here because I'm walking around the States, I'm getting booed, and I'm the champ. Yeah, man, you can't act like an asshole like that. You just can't. Like you beat one of the greatest of all time. You also wouldn't be there if she didn't decide to convince Dana White to have women fight. And she's fighting Shevchenko next. That's 100%. The deal is sealed. Dana said he won't even entertain the idea of her fighting at 145. And not only will he not even entertain the fight at 145, but if you watch his press conference in Denver, when they bring up 145, you can see, I don't think that 145 women's division is going to be around very long. I think they made it in hopes of Cyborg being the face of it and her getting shit done. And, you have Cyborg, Holly, Jermaine, and all these girls, but once Cyborg kind of fucked it up by juicing to the gills, it ruined that division. So I think you might see a one and done division. There's just not enough girls out there.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, what can you do?
my laptop just died.
Oh, fantastic.
However, I do know, so we still have the phone. We're good to go. Rashad Evans just announced a fight, or there was a fight announced with Rashad Evans. So he's actually coming back from that whole.
See, I like this matchup, though.
Dan Kelly.
Dan Kelly. And remember, Dan Kelly's the judoka. I think he won, 3 golds or 2 golds in the Olympics? But the reason I like this, and it's for UFC 209, which is the fight before the Big Brown Breakdown. That's awesome. Love to break this one down. Yeah. So Rashad, awesome. Dan Kelly, UFC 209 is a freaking stacked card. But Dan Kelly has 1 loss.
That's what I was shocked about.
It's just a Sam Alvey. He hasn't beat great guys. He had that decision with Chris Camozzi. And people go, this what? I thought Rashad was supposed to fight Anderson Silva. Those were the rumors. But the reason why I like it is Rashad's had so much time off. It's such a good introduction back fight for him where it's not that dangerous. Kelly's a monster, and he's his judo's great, his striking's not, his grappling's pretty good, but I like this for Rashad just to get his beak wet and get back in the octagon. I love it. I wish more guys had tune-up fights like this. And Rashad has earned this, I think. He's been off for a little while. He's coming off losses, and obviously the whole commission stuff in New York was a nightmare. So I like this, man. I love Rashad. So I'm glad he's getting, not that Kelly's not a monster, but he's sure as fuck not Anderson Silva or Glover Teixeira or some Rumble Johnson or something like that, which they'll do to some guys sometimes.
Let's move on before more stuff starts dying.
Yes, let's do maybe one more.
Okay, so Jorge Masvidal kind of hit up Damian Maia on Twitter, asking to fight him, so out of respect to not jump in front of him to get the title shot before he does.
Well, he definitely not getting a title shot. I love Jorge. Jorge fucked up so bad when he had the mic and goes, Dana, I challenge you 200K. Okay, no, you have to have a name so we can get behind it and then make sure the media's going to push the fight through. So Jorge Masvidal and his Twitter handles @GameBredFighter. @Damian Maia, I'd hate to jump you for next in line and you start to develop ill will towards me. Take the fight. #easy money. #200K. That's silly. That's not the way contracts work. @Dana White. I love the fight. I think Damian Maia is more than deserving to fight for the title, but he needs a fight. And I think Jorge Masvidal versus Damian Maia is such an interesting matchup, such a fun fight. Yeah. And Damian Maia, he's not that star power that we can get behind right now that is going to fight for a UFC title. But if you choke out Jorge Masvidal, all right, no, not that he doesn't have a case. I can see him getting a title shot, but I would love to see him fight Jorge. And I like Jorge's chances in that fight. I really do. We focus a lot on Cowboy took the fight too soon, and Cowboy had a brain trauma from the Matt Brown fight, and he never should have done this. Say what you want about Cowboy, and obviously I focus on Cowboy because Cowboy's been a long-time friend of mine, and he's been on the show, and I've known him forever, so I always support Cowboy, and I'm defensive of Cowboy. But make no mistake about it, Jorge Masvidal was a better fighter that night, no matter what happened to Cowboy previously. So my hat's off to Jorge, and he looked amazing, and I think 2017 is the year of Jorge, to be honest with you. He's going to give anyone at 170 problems. Woodley, even though they're training partners, Woodley, Wonderboy, you go through the matchups, you're like, fuck, though, there's a lot of fun fights for Jorge. So hopefully, I think it's the 2017 is the year of Game Bred Fighter, man.
I hope so. He looked so amazing. I don't remember him being that exciting in the last few fights. This was the perfect person to fight.
I've always found him so exciting. I really have, man. And he's been fucked on split decisions. And I thought the Cowboy fight was just such a tough fight for him, and he proved me wrong, and my hat's off to him, man. I think, you can see, I think last year I said my fighter of the year, it's the year of Tony Ferguson. Look at the year Tony Ferguson have. 2017 is the year of Game Bred Fighter, I think. He's the next kind of wave of the next guy, superstar who deserves it.
Oh, if they continue like that, then that'd be super sick. All right, I'm throwing my laptop up and down to save the battery. So
how much battery life we got on this bitch?
It says 47, but it jumped to 18
God,
last time.
What is going on?
It's just weird.
Thanks, Satan.
So the fight card for FS1.
Is that Saturday?
It's this Saturday, yeah.
Interesting card. God, this and then UFC 208. Is that Brooklyn? It's 208 Brooklyn?
Brooklyn's, yeah, so it's next week, right?
Tell you what, man. You could put these two cards together and it'd be hard to sell pay-per-views. I don't know what's going on. I love, as a purist and as a there's no card I don't like. For average fan, they're looking at this card going, what in the fuck, man?
Yeah.
And then 209, same thing. What in the fuck? I don't get it. I can't remember last time the UFC kind of put these lackluster cards together.
At least
They're
this
fun.
one's free.
They're fun fights, but very, very lackluster. And this is, dude. Remember the cards before the Super Bowl used to be barn burners. They used to be huge, man. They used to be so big. And now you got this. All right. The main event is Dennis Bermudez versus your boy, the Korean. Do you like Korean Zombie?
I loved him.
Is he your favorite fighter?
Not my favorite, but I really love.
Who's your favorite?
Fights. I think always Chuck Liddell will be my favorite fighter.
Oh, old school.
Yeah, it's just.
You're telling me you like Chuck Liddell from Bakersfield, California, more than your boy from South Korea?
Chuck Liddell's from Pomona, I believe. I hope I'm right. Oh, no. Where's that one city? Damn.
I'm drawing a blank, too, on where he's from.
Damn,
it's not Bakersfield.
Frick, it's not that. It's.
I think he wrestled there.
This is so stupid because he's my favorite fighter. I forgot. But
Well,
he'll come back.
train
to
at
me
the
later.
pit. It's in, God, people are going, come on.
It's like a wine place.
They're
I think.
yelling the name
It's a
right
wine-
now. God damn
wine
it.
city.
Sorry, guys.
But anyways,
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, your favorite fighter's not the Korean Zombie or
No.
Superboy
no,
because they're Korean?
because I have a very deep place in my heart for Chuck Liddell when he first impressed me.
That's
with
fair.
It's crazy.
I love
knockouts.
Chuck, too.
But he's amazing. I love Chen Sung-jung.
And he's been gone for how, 3 years?
I think at least 2 years because the military service is around 2 years.
And I same with that, back to the K-pop thing, and I'll move on from it. But K-pop, athletes, whoever you are, you're required to
Doesn't matter.
enlist in the military.
Actors know if you're Tom Cruise here,
You'd have to be
if
in the
you're Tom
military.
Cruise there, you still got to go.
It's kind of cool. It kind of
cool,
fucks
it's
up your
crazy.
life, but kind of fucks up.
They treat him a little better,
Yeah,
better,
but
you
still.
still got to do the.
Yeah, you got to put your career on hold.
Yeah.
If you remember, the Korean Zombie's last fight was against Jose Aldo for the title,
Yeah.
and he was doing pretty well, and then his shoulder came out of socket. What a shitty fight.
Weird fight.
But before that, so he had Leonard Garcia, and remember he got him in that crazy twister to submit him, and then he knocked out Homnick, and then he Darce choked Dustin Poirier, and then he fought Jose Aldo for the title where his shoulder came out, and he lost to via TKO punches, and that was in the 4th round. But he was doing well, if you remember, in that fight, and that's the last time we've seen him. And now he's back, and they're not doing any favorites. This is the same thing with Rashad being out, all these guys taking these long layoffs, and I think we've seen it with Ronda. Granted, she didn't want to be in there at all, but still, ring rust is real. Ask Chael Sonnen about it. Ask these guys who take these long layoffs, and then not only is he fighting on the undercard or the first fight of the main card, Korean Zombie's the main event, 5 rounds. You got to sell this card for us. You're doing all the interviews. It's a lot to take on, man. So. He's one of my favorite fighters, but in 3 years, the game evolves so fast, I think it's too much for him. I really do. I think Bermudez, Dennis eats him up.
Yeah.
Bermudez eats him up. I really do.
Eats him up.
Eats him up.
Damn.
Ragdolls him around.
Oh shit.
I know, it's crazy, right? Because I think Korean Zombie's going to come forward, does his thing, sprawl, and he's going to brawl and do that, and Bermudez isn't going to have it. Dennis isn't going to put up with it. And he's just been more active. He's been fighting the best of the fight. Remember, Dennis had, a 7-fight win streak? And then he fell on a little rough times. Now he's back. He's won his past 2. I think it's just too much for the Korean Zombie. I used to own a Korean Zombie t-shirt, and they were so dope. I used to love his shirts. I wonder what happened to that company.
There was a controversy with the shirts too. I think the original design, the owner didn't want to give them money, so they changed it to do their own design.
And barely did it.
Yeah.
I owned that one.
Yeah.
What else is on this card?
So
Who are you
just like
taking
said,
that
there's
fight?
not too-
So I'm taking Bermudez, and I'll say he TKOs Korean Zombie in the 3rd round.
For some reason, I think that's a good prediction. For some reason, I kind of feel like I don't sense Zombie will win. He's going to win, but I do think he'll go to decision, and Bermudez will win. But I think he'll last all 3 rounds. I think he's got toughened up.
5 rounds, son.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Main event. Hey,
never
Korean
mind.
Zombie, been in the military,
Never
huh?
mind.
That's cool. Here's 5 rounds, son.
Oh, man, you're right.
I know.
You know what? You're probably right.
Maybe, or Korean Zombie just is this monster.
I'll say he'll last all 5 rounds.
Yeah, you gotta stick with the Korean Zombie, man. And then what else? We got Grasso, who you're high on, versus Felice Herring, who's also that first team all cuties, both of them. Mm-hmm. Both of them are little dime pieces. Herring's bodied up.
Grasso said one of her goals is to get a body like Herring's.
Do we have a picture of Grasso?
We do somewhere.
I need to do some research here.
But the internet doesn't work, so can't pull it up. We gotta
good.
put it on the phone.
I'll do that on my own time in the dark with a warm hand to my genitals and a smile on my face. Just kidding. Let's see.
Grasso.
So she's undefeated. Again, Invicta just putting out these little monsters into the UFC. That's obviously the biggest women's league in the world.
So only one fight in the UFC.
Let me see Felice Herring. Oh yeah, and Kaylin Kern's a little monster. She lost to Paige Van Zandt, who I thought she was gonna beat. Man, for whatever reason, I never pick against Felice Herring. I just don't, and I haven't seen this girl a lot. This other girl.
I think you'll be super impressed by her striking.
She has good striking.
Yeah, really cool.
I've seen her only fight once, so it's tough to go off of that. But beating Kern is a big one. I'll take your girl. This card, man, Jesus Christ, going through trying to break this shit down. Trujo, always fun. You got St. Preux fighting. You know it's a shitty card when the main event has black cutouts as the opponents. And then I think there's fuck all those. All right, you got Hamilton, heavyweight. You got St. Preux, light heavyweight, so those could be fun. You got Trujo. So there's potential to get a lot of finishes before it gets to Grasso, Herring. And then Bermudez, Jung would be a fun one. And but you got Angela Hill.
Yeah.
If you remember she was cut from the UFC, then had like the fight of the year last year. Remember that against
Invicta?
Was that Invicta? I thought it was either way, it was an amazing fight. Now she's back in the UFC, so she's someone to watch. And then another interesting one. I know I'm flying through this card, but that's because it's complete bullshit. You got Jolly versus Roundtree Jr. If you remember Roundtree Jr., he was off the Ultimate Fighter. He was kind of the protege to Anderson Silva, and he worked at Black House, and I've trained with him. He's a southpaw. He's also a guy who used to weigh 300 pounds, and now he's shredded, great body. He was working basically like an MMA warehouse in Torrance, California, selling MMA gear, and then the kid's doing it right. He needs a win, though, for sure. Amazing stand-up. He's fun to watch. Decent jiu-jitsu. Cardio can tend to be an issue for him. But he's fighting this guy named Daniel Jolly. Now, let me tell you something about Daniel Jolly. Daniel Jolly was a running back at University of Colorado when I was there. When I was a junior or sophomore, he was a freshman. He came in so highly recruited, so highly touted. His dad was this military monster who made his son grow up doing martial arts, and his dad was some martial art badass. He trains on an academy. His legs and ass are from outer space. He kicks like a fucking Mack truck. He reminds me a lot of Michael J. White.
Oh, that guy's buff as hell.
He reminds me a lot of him, but who actually competes in MMA. And I love Michael J. White. And obviously, I think if he was younger, he'd got involved in MMA. But Daniel Jolly's that guy. Daniel Jolly, the seniors were going to initiate him in the dorm room, and he threw a spinning back kick and broke a glass sliding door. Like it was a double pane door, and kicked it. And everyone was like, and blood was everywhere. His leg was bleeding, and everyone was like, I guess don't fuck with him. And they just moved on to the next guy. But we got in so much trouble, and we had to run sprints while the seniors watched us. It was a nightmare.
Did he do it just to make the guys go away?
He did it. It was like, you want to do something? And it was like, boom, let's do it. And everyone was like, we're good. We're going to pick on Fat Carl. We call him Fat Carl. We're going to pick on Fat Carl across the way there. He's not going to throw fucking spinning back kicks at 240 pounds shredded. We have easier routes to go to initiate people. But Daniel Jolly, I think his first fight, he got choked out. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He's fun to watch. This is a battle of athletic guys, and whoever is in the right frame of mind will win that fight. But there's no way that one goes to decision. That out of all these fights, that'd probably be my key one to watch if you want to see some exciting action. Boom. That's the fight card for Fox Sports 1. And anyone in the UFC, if you're listening to this, do better. You got to do this and then the Brooklyn card. How dare you? How fucking dare you? I'm just glad we don't have to pay for them. But again, I'm a fight fan, so I love all cards. So I'm speaking on behalf of the general public. I obviously never miss them, but do better. You got to, guys. You owe it to us. You do owe it to us. Is that it, brother?
That's it.
All right, guys. Well, we got through these. We're trying to get through the power outage, and hopefully, if this all sounds good to you guys, sounds smooth, this will be out later today. It is Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and we're just wrapping this bitch up. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I present to you Lyoto, the Dragon Machida, my dad's favorite fighter of all time, and Rener Gracie, the brains, the brawn behind Gracie Academy, Gracie University, happens to be one of my best friends at the same time too. So enjoy. We are back, the Big Brown Breakdown.
Boom.
And do we ever have some special guest? I sent out the bat signal, the Brazilian bat signal, obviously.
What's up, bro?
Obviously. We got Lyoto Machida and Rener Gracie in the house.
What's up, you guys?
Thanks for
Honored to be
coming,
here.
guys.
Thanks for bringing us to your new party, bro.
Couple 1-2 buddies up in here. Well, I've literally, because we haven't trained in a while together, and that's usually when I catch up with you guys. I mean, obviously I see you on Instagram and stuff like that. You guys are doing well.
Everything
but
is good,
this
bro.
This is the first like combo we've had in quite some time.
Off the mat, this is the first official one, yeah.
I know.
Yes.
What's going on, man? A lot.
Good,
Both
good.
of you got a lot going on, really.
Yes.
That people want to know, especially me. Even I have questions. Where do we start? I think we start with Lyoto. I think we start with Lyoto. So you've had a little bit of a layoff, right, with the UFC due to the suspension. That's up in October, right?
Yes.
Up in October. So right now you're just staying active as far as training, getting better, I'm assuming, and then looking to fight in October?
Yes. Now I just use my time to train different things and improve some things that I need to improve, and take care about my academy, my family. So I really enjoy this time because everything that happening in our life has 2 points, a good way and bad way. It depends how you think. So last year was so tough to me, very hard because I got busted from USADA. I did something that I shouldn't did, but it happened. It was on purpose. But at the end of the day, I have to be under suspension now for 18 months. But was tough because at the beginning I felt like I was guilt because they said that I was lying and do some wrong stuff. But I didn't do that to be a cheater. No, I just used 7 keto, was a very common substance that you can find wherever in CVS. But at the end of the day, the good point that I being under suspension is because I can enjoy my family, I can train more relaxed, and I can take care about my academy, do a couple of seminars, do some speech. Not in English, but in Portuguese. Because according my English master, Rener Gracie, I'm still blue belt. Yeah, I never passed. Blue belt.
Blue belt in English?
No, he's getting closer, though, bro. He's been training hard. We've been working.
Three-stripe blue belt.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
three-stripe
might be a
blue.
purple
No,
these
he's getting
days.
close, bro. He's there.
So that whole USADA situation, for those that don't know, you're randomly tested 365 days a year, and they just showed up your house at like 6 in the morning.
Was that the one where you were at the academy? Was that the one?
Yes, the one that the academy
We were training at the academy, and we were in the private room, and then someone was like, bop, 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 knocking on the door. And we opened it up, and there was maybe a woman plus another 2 guys.
Yes.
And they said, "Come out here right now. You did a urine test at that
Yes.
point."
They take
And
blood,
I was so calm, because I knew that I was clean. No, I knew I'm clean.
You didn't worry.
And it didn't work like that.
And then when you got notified of the of the violation, do they call you? How do you find out? Do you find out
No,
on Twitter like the rest of us?
No,
Well,
no,
first
I
go
was-
back. So you told them when you got,
Yes.
because it wasn't the urine test sample.
No.
It was, they asked you what supplements do you take?
Yes.
And then that's when you told. Then at the academy, what did you tell them?
So I disclosed everything. So they asked me first, Lyoto, what are you taking? I said, I taking whey protein, I taking 7 keto, I taking everything. So I said that because I didn't know it was
banned substance?
It's a banned substance. In the fight week, during the fight week, I was there in Florida for the fight. It was Wednesday. And they said, Lyoto, you have something wrong with the USAID. I said, what happened? But I was very, very calm because I said, no, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
And he came up to me and said, no, Lyoto, you take some supplement, 7 keto. So we was in the room, me, my manager, George, about 12 hours inside the room in Florida in the hotel, discussing about the things. What are they going to do? They're going to cancel my fight. I'm going to fight. So it was so stressful. And my assistant publicist in Brazil, they take over everything and see what you have to say in the social media and explain everything. So it was tough.
It was crazy. And
I
the
can't
time
imagine.
between your test at the academy and the actual notification was a long time, I feel like.
Yes.
Was weeks. Was not
Yeah,
like
yes.
it wasn't 2 days.
Yes.
It was at least 2 or 3 weeks.
It's a
which
little
was crazy.
ridiculous how long it
Yes.
takes. But you know why it takes that long?
Tell me.
This, from what I've heard from that Nowitzki, who I call the Golden Snitch. He is a gentleman who I think Rogan asked him when he's on his podcast. He asked why it takes so long. It's because they want to make sure that what they found, they're repeatedly testing
Yes.
over and over. And then they get the B sample and they test that. Because if they do that to a guy like Lyoto,
But my whole point is this wasn't
and they're
even
wrong.
this wasn't even a test. This is simply his disclosure. It didn't come out. It wasn't even in the urine. It wasn't
that
even
is
it
strange.
didn't show because you had been taking this supplement for how long? Before this
Yes,
fight.
yes.
For years.
And what's the advantage of 7 keto?
7 keto just control your cortisol, your stress.
Sure.
So I came from 2 losses in a row. So I was very nervous, very stressed with my training camp.
Of course.
So
Been there.
that's why I took supplement like 7 keto to be more calm, to be more it's kind of.
And when you disclosed it to them, did they go, "Oh my God," or were they just like, "Okay," and wrote it down like they wrote down?
just wrote it down and didn't say anything.
They didn't know either. It was illegal
Yeah, they didn't know
until
either.
someone at the
The
office
guy who
told-
came to me,
Yeah,
asked
nobody
me,
knew
they didn't know.
anything. So that's what's crazy is that they waited. He told
It
them.
is ridiculous.
It wasn't a urine test. In other words, here's the thing. And that's what's, and I think that has been made clear before in other interviews Lyoto did. That's what's crazy is that it didn't show up on his test and he got penalized for disclosing something that he's taking and the fact that they waited so long to tell him, right? This was fight week, bro. He was in Tampa. I was getting on a flight. His wife, I was about to get on a flight to go to Tampa.
Hold on. So they actually didn't find the supplement in the test? They're
no-
going based
so the
off
fir- so
his...
They went off the disclosure. The
Yeah.
disclosure is what you got penalized
Yes,
on.
yes.
In other
First
words,
of all-
if you
first of
say,
all-
"Yo, I've been smoking crack cocaine," or "I've been doing this," or "I've been doing that," and you just say it, they don't need to find it anywhere. If you're disclosing
That's
that you're doing
ridiculous.
that, something illegal, they can go off of that.
So I did one test at the beginning of the April.
Yes.
So I was taking exactly what I was
what you were taking later, yeah.
we were taking later. So my test came very clean because I didn't say anything because I forgot to say. But the second test, I think.
that he said he was because you were so
Yes.
relaxed at the
Too
academy.
bad you didn't
Yes.
forget.
So, but
Damn it.
The second test, I told to my wife, hey, I have to remember everything. So I have to tell everything to the user.
Dude, the honest right here. He's trying to disclose
I know.
everything, and
And
they're
it
like,
really
"Oh, thanks for
screwed you.
telling us."
Now you just say whey protein. Whatever. Well, just whey protein.
No,
coconut
nothing,
water.
nothing.
Just acai and
That's
tapioca,
acai,
bro.
How about coconut water? That's it. Yeah, just put down coconut water. I can't.
how crazy,
my
bro.
palms sweat from thinking about the moment when you're in Florida in that room and they come in and go, Lyoto, you've been flagged for USADA violation
Because
I feel like it gives me anxiety. Because you got to realize when that news comes out, whether it's 7 keto, whatever it is, you get labeled by the
Oh,
general
yeah.
public as a cheater.
100%.
They don't do any research. They don't look into
No.
7 keto. They're like, that might as well be freaking
Yeah, it could be.
testosterone.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they just see
Yes.
flat.
It's a bad reputation. It's a bad.
You could drink a bunch of coffee, get flagged for caffeine. They think steroids.
Steroids. If you get flagged for banned substance, the automatic is steroids.
No
It's
one looks into
100%.
it. So when you're in that room, they come in, they're like, Lyoto, you got flagged, man. I myself would want to curl up in the ball in the fetal position and just start sucking my thumbs. Like, I'm just gonna stay here. Can I just lease this land here and just stay forever?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to come out.
So imagine my situation, because I came from very traditional martial arts.
Oh yeah.
I have a father that he's so strict. He was so strict in my upbringing. So he was with me over there. And he said, Lyoto, right after the thing, we was in the room, he said, Lyoto, I want to ask you 2 things. I said, okay. First of all, you have to say excuse me to Dana White, because he's one of the promoter of the show. He gave you the opportunity and you commit mistakes. And for your opponent. And after, for all of your fans. That thing's very, very important to say, because you have to recognize, even though if you didn't do anything on purpose, but you commit some mistake, you have to recognize that and do this, please. So I text Dan Henderson and asked and said to him that excuse me, I'm so sorry what happened. And I know you have a good preparation, but unfortunately you cannot make it. And I text Dana White as well, and all my fans I post on social media.
And what was your response from Dan and Dana?
So-
Dan gets it. Dan
Yeah,
understands
but
the game.
He also shot back. I remember when it went back. It happened back then. He wasn't so, because again, Dan,
He was emotional right away.
well, think
Remember,
about
he
this.
went to
Well,
Twitter.
Dan, like the general public, made their automatic assumptions. This guy's a cheater. This guy's, you know what I'm saying? The default is, Dan, you're complete. If you get flagged, the default is that USADA is right and it's all good and they're correct in their assessment.
Every time.
Right. So there you go. So at that very moment, it's understandable maybe that Dan was frustrated.
yes.
And imagine if it happened to you, where you did all the preparation, all there, your whole family's there from Brazil, and then Dan gets flagged for something. It's almost like you don't even care what it is.
No.
You're pissed off that he didn't
Yes.
come and make it happen. So
Dan, I
that's-
get.
That's understandable. Yeah. He
did
was
Dan
upset.
respond
No,
back or
I
no?
understand. I understand both of them.
Yes.
Even Dana White and
What
Dan.
did Dana or Dan text
No,
you back?
Dana, he said, no, it's okay, man, but you have to look the things very well before you take something.
Because think about it, because for Dana, he has to be in a tough position because he's frustrated as hell.
Yeah.
He doesn't want Nowitzki to find this bolt. 7 keto? That's a waste of our time, man.
Right.
And then you pull the guy Lyoto Machida a fight against Dan Henderson. So the UFC's like, they're just as upset as you guys are.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone lose. It's a lose-lose, naturally, and you have to learn from it and move on. But so, what was the second thing your dad said?
The second thing he said, the first thing I want you, and the
Apologize
second thing,
to all those people.
The second thing, Lyoto, forget what happened. Everything already passed.
Yeah.
Think from now on. No, don't think more in the past.
That's amazing.
Life is like now.
Yep.
Okay, you already commit mistake. You already
It's
say,
already- it's
I'm
already
sorry.
passed."
Already passed.
Yeah.
Now move on.
I love it.
But he said that, but it was tough to move on.
I
it
can't
was tough.
imagine.
But
'Cause you probably went into a dark place. Like, even if your dad said that, I get it. It's great. Your dad could be Tony Robbins, like, very good. And then when you get home, you're all by yourself.
Yes.
You see all the backlash on social media, your fans, and it's tough. Yes. So I'm sure you were in a dark place for a little bit.
yeah, of course, man, of course. But the calm that my father was in that moment, I was very impressed. He said, "No, your life sometimes like that. Just accept everything, surrender in a good way, like give everything that you have. That's the most important thing that you have to do in your life. Sometimes you don't accept.
Yeah.
When you don't accept something, it's hard because it's all about ego, vanity, all about, so you want to show something, you want to prove something.
Yeah.
No, accept, surrender in a good way.
Yeah, your dad's a real life ninja.
That's
You guys are all.
That's so important. That's what I try to put in my life every day. So
Well, what else are you gonna do, Lyoto? I mean, your dad's correct. Like, obviously, I think it's good to be upset about it, but I think you have to move on. What else are you gonna do? Just dwell on it? And literally, Nowitzki doesn't care. He's on to the next one. The UFC's on to the next one. So you got to take care of Lyoto and the family.
yeah, for sure. No, I just have to keep my head up, train every day. Train with these beasts, hit on Rener. Have been training with my brother too. I have tried to visit some other place. So I have trained to Alan Goy is a good coach in jiu-jitsu as well. So that's what I have to do and take care about my academy, teaching it in the academy.
Because you opened a new academy
Yes,
recently.
I just opened it.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Really?
3 months ago, yeah.
And what kind of academy is it?
Just karate.
Just karate.
Yes, but karate for everything, self-defense. So you practice a little bit of MMA over there too, but all about karate. How you can use your stand-up, your karate for a real life, real situation.
Well, I think it's a good time to open, especially a karate gym, because you see in the UFC more and more, and we were referenced this on the Fight Companion, Eddie Bravo, Rogan, and Robin Black and myself, where you see guys like Yair Rodriguez, Lyoto Machida, Wonder Boy, where karate and taekwondo, it might be good to start doing some of that, because a lot of guys came from that background and they started boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu more. But now you see that guys are good at everything, and those wheel kicks and the side kicks and everything. So I think a karate gym right now, people for a while thought, oh, MMA gyms, that's the new craze.
Right.
Or the new craze is do this. But you look at the guys who are good, they have a karate background. They know some form of karate or taekwondo.
Yes,
so I think it's going to get more and more popular with the younger kids who want to throw those kicks and stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah, the academy is unbelievable. Anybody who's in the Southern California, South Bay area,
It's
right
in
here.
Redondo?
Lamita, Torrance area. And they just went all in. They made the most beautiful academy. I mean, adults and kids. A lot of people associate karate with kids and just the discipline, but the way these guys employ it and the way these guys, practice and teach it, I mean, it's truly remarkable.
Well, but you're talking about a different level.
I know.
The
We're talking about the
Machidas
highest
are the
level.
Gracies of karate.
And it makes
Like,
perfect sense. And they just did it right. I mean, anybody who's in the South Bay, even for a passing time, go check out the place because it's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
So then let me ask you this though. So you're suspended to October. So what do you see happening once your suspension's up? Because the way it works for those that don't know is, so Lyoto, your suspension, is it up October 1st or October 30th?
October 8th.
Okay, so October 8th. They could schedule a fight for October 9th. So he could be trained to have the camp.
Yes.
October 9th. They don't
Boom.
wait to schedule a fight till it's so.
Yes.
So you could be in
that's the
talks.
idea.
That's
That's
the
the
idea.
idea.
Yeah, you're trying to get going
fight
here.
October 9th.
So that's the plan. As soon as that releases up, you want to fight in the UFC in October.
Yes, I really wanted to fight. And of course, my summer will be in training camp, but I'm very happy and to have this opportunity to fight in October. I think it's, at the end of the day, man, it's gonna be good for me. I took some time because
I think
I
the
had
rest is good for you, brother. Your brain, everything.
Yes.
Because how long have you been? How long have you been in combat sports?
I'll-
I saw you in diapers, like
yes.
throwing sidekicks.
Yeah.
Your dad showed me a picture. Your family's in diapers throwing sidekicks and a karate.
but
chop.
as a professional, almost 15 years.
A long time.
Long
man.
time.
So the rest isn't necessarily a horrible thing. You see a lot of guys now, they lose a fight, they want to get right back in there.
Yes.
The commission lets them in there, and they eat a shot that normally, and i.e. Donald Cerrone, normally they have no issues with, and they lose the fight.
Right. And I'll tell you what, the amount of fighters who, when it's fight camp and it's time to train for a fight, they're all in. But when it's not fight camp and it's not time to train for a designated date, they're nowhere to be found near the gym, and they're out on, vacations, getting drunk, doing whatever. And I'll tell you, and I've always said this, that Lyoto is someone who, whether he's, training for a fight camp or whether it's, 100, like this right now, year plus suspension and no fight in sight. This guy is as dedicated, coming to the gym, keeping a regular schedule, training and absorbing jiu-jitsu and dedicating to the actual learning of the art. And I feel like without a fight date set right now, because we're not training for a particular opponent, he just became a student again from scratch of jiu-jitsu and be fascinated with his own growth. And I'll tell you right now, the hype is that Lyoto is, taking necks and cashing checks right now at the academy. And, he's just learning, growing, and students are noticing like, Henry, this guy in the last 12 months, he's gotten way better. Guys who, only train with him once every 3 or 4 months, they're like, right now, this guy's tapping me out way more than I ever anticipated. He's much more annoying to grapple and to roll with. So it's so cool to see someone who just at the top of their game continues to be such an avid student of the arts, and that's a large reason why he is where he is. He's a lifelong martial artist.
Well,
A lot of these fighters,
I agree.
come in later, and like you said, for our family doing it from the diapers, it's the same thing for them. And he's not just with that with karate, but with every art he does, he just immerses himself.
For both you guys, for Lyoto too, you mentioned this to me when we were training. You said it's a lifestyle. Like he was always on, like, dude, just take a break, go somewhere. Like it's a lifestyle. This is what I do.
Right.
And that resonated with me so much. I'm like, God, he's right. You're such a student of the game, been doing it forever. He's like, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So when you come back in October, are you thinking 85 or 205?
85.
85.
85.
And
A lot of fans ask me to come back to 205, but I think the guy's so huge now over there.
Yeah, it's the same guys though. Nothing's really changed. Like 205 and 85, or 205. It's like dinosaurs and heavyweight. Like everyone, it's like the same crop of dudes. Like you left, put the
Everyone over
division
there
on
is like a
pause, came
heavyweight,
back.
like a heavyweight. Everyone over there in 205, right?
Yeah, all of them are older. So at 85, is there anyone that you would, if you're Dana White and you can make a matchup for Lyoto Machida, is there anyone that you would love to fight? Because you fought everyone.
Yes, I already
There's really
fought
not a
so
ton
many
of-
fighters. No?
Yes.
I think I could fight one of the top fighters.
Yeah. You're looking for like a top 5 matchup, top
Yes.
10?
So get
Because if you look at it, because you got Bisping, Jacare,
Musasi, Vitor Belfort,
Musasi, Vitor, and then your boy Gay Jesus.
who?
Yoel
Yoel.
Romero.
Yo.
Yes.
Hey, Bisping is the best option, right? But he's a champion.
The question
He's
is,
the
will Bisping? Well, yeah, that'd be a great fight for you.
Yeah, but Bisping, no, he's a champion right now. Of course, he's on another level because he has to fight someone that is a challenge. He's he wants for the title shot.
He's fighting Yoel next. That's what Dana came out and said. Like that's gonna be the next fight, which is, for
Is it
Bisping,
sure?
a
Is
tough
it sure?
fight.
Is
It's pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
Pretty sure.
it's a tough fight. Yeah, tough fight.
Very tough fight. And then I think they want to do it's a tough fight for him. But 85, those top 5 guys, it's all about stylistically. Even top 10, it's all about the
style.
who
Yes.
matches up. 10 could beat 1, 7 could beat
Yes.
2, 3 could beat 9. It's just a weird it's just all about the right timing and matchups.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Do you think a guy like you, and chime in on this too, Henry, do you guys think you see this day and age, it's a copycat league with like Conor McGregor, right? He comes, talks smack, says who he wants to fight, and then he's obviously the poster boy of the UFC, most famous guy we've ever had, most successful fighter we've ever had, highest pay-per-view numbers, highest paying fighter of all time. So now it's like the league has become where guys have to call people out now. Otherwise, you get left in the dust.
Yeah.
And for like a lifetime martial artist like you, it's really not. That's not where you guys come from. It's all about respect and
It's not my
discipline,
style.
and
It's not my
you don't
style.
call
Right,
people
yeah.
out.
Tough, yes.
I think that.
But how are you
it's
gonna?
Fascinating.
Isn't it weird?
It's
'Cause you
really
got-
weird.
especially a guy like Machida. It's not in your nature, and then you have guys getting on there, trying to do it.
But I'm not gonna change my principles. I'm not gonna change anything just to make money.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll stay like Lyoto Machida always was, and do my stuff. Do a great fighters and try to do some fights through my technique, through my no. That's what I want to do. I don't wanna change my style. So I have seen a lot of guys change now. Call someone out and do like you just told me.
Yeah, it's a tough one, right? Because you see some people who talk and fight, some people who all fight, no talk, some people who all talk, no fight. Right?
Oh, yeah.
we see
Yeah.
all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's tough. And few people, in Conor being the exception there, do them both
Very few.
impeccably well.
Very few.
But if we had to choose, right, be all fight or all talk, you want to be all fight. So I think he's choosing the right path and let the fight do the talking for you.
Well, that's always been Lyoto's style. And
Yeah,
I think guys, and it's very easy to tell when it's fake. When it's not natural for you to call
Yes.
guys out or talk trash, it's so fake. And we're like, come on, man, we're not buying this.
Right.
So, but with the people you work with right now, Brian Ortega, obviously Lyoto. Who else are you guys working with?
That's pretty much
And
it
Brian
right now, yeah.
Ortega's the guy. If you haven't seen Tri-City, he's 8 or 9 in the world right now.
So I think he's 9 or 10. Yeah,
I
he's
would
up
love
there.
to see him fight Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's got the
Some
shoulder
Mexican
injury right now.
The guy who beat
DJ, yeah.
Yeah.
Some Mexican on Mexican crime.
It should be interesting.
Brown on brown crime.
So Brian, Brian's a special cat, man. He's been at it for a while now, and He has this shoulder injury, so he's out for at least probably another 4 or 5 months. I think it's been almost 5 or 6 so far. He just got back to training jiu-jitsu in the last month right now. He feels great.
Because he had shoulder surgery. Was it labrum surgery, I think? I saw him at a Blink-182 concert. He's telling me how he's out for a while with his shoulder.
Yeah, he's such a flexible guy that he had looser shoulders, and his left shoulder, I think it was his left initially. He, in a title fight pre-UFC, his shoulder came out in the 4th round, completely out of the socket during the fight. Came out and threw a jab and it popped back in, came and sat down. He was like, Rener, my shoulder came out of the socket right now during the 4th round. Came out. And he said, what should I do? And I said, well, it's up to you, champ. We can call it if you want. He was winning for like 4 rounds to 0, in a title fight I think it was an RFA. I think it was one before the RFA. And I said, bro, we can call it, or you can go in there and, and do your thing and just move for 5 minutes. And
get this win and move, son. I'm like, get on that bike and get around.
I think this was his first. It was his title fight, but it was his not defending a title. It was his first title ever.
Yes.
As a professional mixed martial artist. So he was like, "No, I'm gonna go in there and just stick and move, stick and move, stick and move, stick and move." Before you know it, the fight went to the ground. He got like a back mount, held on, and got it. That was his left shoulder. And went and had the surgery, and then here we are, several years later.
It's frustrating because he gets this momentum, and then
it is tough
because he's 9 in the world. He's on a win streak.
He's on a win streak.
The fights are there for him.
But I'll tell you what, he's so young that.
How old is TC?
I think he's 25.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah, he's 24, 25. But he's so young that. He's maturing physically as a human being so much right now.
Yes.
That in a recovery like this, he doesn't just recover and build his body and his physique and his cardio back to where it was before the fight. Mm-hmm. He's a very active person with nothing to do.
Yeah.
So with no fight in mind, like similar to Lyoto, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go. So he's gonna come back off the injury better than when before he left. Mm-hmm. So that's the deal with Brian, is that he really gets it. He's really dedicated right now, and he's training like a beast. So I think he's going to come back stronger, and his body and his mind will be more developed, more evolved. And he's a lot of time to think. And it's fascinating. I had, it was interesting because around 18, 19 years old, I had back surgery just from so many years of wear and tear on my spine. I had a herniated disc. My leg just freaking died. It felt like it was a blowtorch on my leg, and I couldn't train. So I had surgery, and I was 10 months no sparring in jiu-jitsu. Now, for someone who up until that point, literally every waking hour is either, doing sparring or teaching someone or traveling for jiu-jitsu, you can imagine it was like nothing, zero. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do? So during that 10-month period, I watched Hiron, my arch nemesis, spar and train and fight and choke people out and think abuse that he used to do to me my whole life. I'm now watching this abuse imposed on other people, other victims. Yeah. And as an observer, because think about it, if me and Hiron are in the room together, if we're sparring, it's like being the acai in the blender. So you don't even get to see the acai blend.
You don't see what's going on.
You don't see it when you're in the blender. But if we're in the room together and we're not sparring each other, then what are we doing? We're sparring someone else. And if I'm sparring someone else, I'm the blender and someone else is the acai.
Yeah.
And then I don't even watch Hiron because he's doing his thing. So the point is, you don't just sit and watch your brother.
Never.
Because you're training or you're fighting each other.
Yes.
So for 10 months.
You realize how big of a beast he was?
And I realized how...
a bully?
But you also... I love the only one. Yeah, but I'm not the only one. But I'm also watching this guy. And I'm observing how he's doing, annihilating people and taking notes like, wow, he just does that and it causes them to do that. And every time he gets there, he does that. So I'm taking notes. And when I came back, not only did I get stronger, over time I get bigger and more mature, but I'm observing this guy's movement and I'm like, I got this guy. I understand him better. So when I came back out of the injury, I was better than before. When I went with Hiron, it was a perfect measuring stick and I did better after the injury. And I feel like guys like him and like Brian who take time off like this,
it can help for sure if you use the time right.
If you study the game.
Robbie Lawler didn't spar for I want to say 3 or 4 years.
But it doesn't mean he's not watching. It doesn't mean he's not
he was
growing.
watching and doing drills, but he didn't spar. He'd take fights, but would not spar because he's worried about head trauma. So he's like, I still want to continue fighting. I'm just not going to spar. Donald Cerrone stopped sparring. And a lot of times
Donald Cerrone stopped sparring too.
Stopped sparring. He just does a lot of lightweight. Kind of touch and go sparring, but
safer, bro.
And he's also watching a lot more, being more of a student of the game.
So it's more trained.
I think it's very interesting, because you get too many guys. There's the other side of the spectrum as well, which is fighters who aren't studying anything and all their work is just banging their head against the wall.
Yes.
And if they're lucky enough to stay healthy until they get to the UFC, once they're there, it's how long can your body sustain that? right? And you're trying to have a decent long career, especially when you start early like Brian did or any one of these guys. You just got to be so protective of your body, man. I never fought professionally, but knowing you guys and training with professional fighters,
you see how
I'm
much
like,
it takes.
dang, this is crazy.
So obviously Lyoto's your guy, Brian Ortega, and then did you for a while you're Ronda's exclusive jiu-jitsu coach?
Yeah, so we didn't do the last fight with Ronda.
This is just the last. Yeah,
The last fight with Amanda, we didn't work with her. It was a logistic and a scheduling thing. So Jason Manley, a friend of ours, who's
Love Jason Manley.
Yeah, Jason's a great coach as well. So he worked with her, and she was like, in exclusivity, and he stayed with her and trained almost full time, which we couldn't do because we have a million things going on. And,
No, you can't do
in
that.
fight camps up until that point, we were very, the limited time we had available, we would train with her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always, and that's the tough part, like. It's a very tough thing to be a coach and to run a business.
Well,
at
you
the
have
same
a
time.
business.
I
It's
know.
a big difference. A lot of fight coaches would love for an opportunity to work with a guy like Lyoto or Brian Ortega.
Yes.
And they want to be full time, but you're running a
It's
full-time
tough, and I make it
business.
very clear that anytime there's a fight, listen, I'm not the head coach. I'm not the one who's going to tell you to wake up and run up those stairs and run down those stairs and tell you what to eat and tell you when and where to train. But I'll tell you that, when you come to me for jiu-jitsu, you're gonna leave with better jiu-jitsu.
There's
That's
none better.
guaranteed.
I've always said that.
And I it doesn't matter how long someone's been training, and not that they couldn't get benefit from other coaches as well, but there's some things that that we do very well that fighters can benefit from, and we're glad to share those. And Brian has used a lot of that recently too in his fights, and you see it. The guys, it's
So,
amazing.
Lyoto, when you see guys like BJ Penn who had this long layoff and they come back and fight one of the new generation guys like Yair Rodriguez, does it make you go, I guess I want to come back? Or are you chomping at the bit? Because when I saw that BJ Penn fight, I'm like, well, I never want to see him fight again. Because the game evolves so
Yes.
fast. So fast. BJ, what, 3 years off? Which is a long time for you, a year and a half off. But if they give you some young buck, that some young lion, it's tough to see the older guys, not that you're older, but as far as fight-wise, a veteran fight one of these younger lions.
Yeah, the thing.
Because remember, it's different management too. WME, IMG, it's not the same as Lorenzo. Because back in the day, Lorenzo, if you went, hey, we're going to give this no-name lion to Lyoto Machida, you're not doing that to Lyoto. What he did for us, you're not doing that. But now, you got a new guy going,
Yes.
yeah, why not? Oh, Lyoto's a big
You
name.
cannot pick any fight, right? You can accept and do what you have to do. But the thing is, I think, so it's very hard because the sports evolve so fast, change so fast. So you have to be there to see the change that is happening in the moment. That's why I keep training every day. I try to mix myself in all the academy. I try to go to the King's Academy with Mestre Rafael Cordeiro, do some spar over there, train over there with a bunch of fighters from UFC and Bellator.
Because there you got Verdum,
Verdun, Benil, and
Dariush, who's
Benil
amazing.
Dariush. Yes, a lot of fights. Always somebody visits over there. It's good because a different style, different people. That's important to me.
So are you there and then you're also at Black House? Is Black House still? Because
Yes.
someone asked me, is Black House still? Because when I was there, Black House wasn't like a place where you'd go to learn jiu-jitsu, wrestling, all that. It was like pros. I was in camp. Lyoto was in camp. Glover was in camp. We'd all meet there and do work.
Yeah, Black House now they restart to do again the pro training.
Okay.
So sometimes I go over there, but now with my academy, I'm so busy. I cannot go over there. So sometimes I train once or twice a week. I go to the King's Academy and with Mestre Rafael Cordeiro and train over there.
Yeah, he's amazing.
But I have a lot of friends, a lot of teammates in the Black House, Kevin Case, and a lot of guys over there.
And then is Anderson Silva still in that circle? Like, is Anderson with Black House or does he go to Kings?
Yeah,
or?
Anderson Silva, sometimes he trains in his own academy, and sometimes he trains in Brazil.
He's in Brazil right now.
He's in Brazil right now, training.
And is his academy near yours?
Yeah, we're all very
Yeah,
close.
like-
We're all in Torrance.
Yes.
Like Anderson's Academy is right
MMA
there.
hotbed there.
Yeah. So Anderson's place is, and I work
15
out there.
minutes,
He's
yes.
he's been kind enough to let us use the place to actually do just physical workouts and some weight training. So that goes down there, but it's all very close. Yeah, our school from Anderson's is 7 minutes to his, another 7-8 minutes. It's all right there in the South Bay.
What? That's
But
amazing.
Anderson's been gone for a while. He's been in Brazil training for this fight.
Yeah. And do you think both you guys take on this because you've worked with Anderson and obviously Anderson's a good friend of yours. He's fighting Brunson. And again, they put up the Anderson bat signal, the spider signal, and he answered because Brooklyn has no big names. So he does it. Then when I see him against a guy like Brunson, I'm like, I guess, man. I guess because remember Anderson, he said, I want big fights. At first, he's like, I don't really care about the belt. I just want big fights. And then he goes, some people would argue he beat Bisping. Remember, he knocked Bisping out. That English zombie woke up and then won the next 2 rounds in a decision. It was an amazing fight, one of my favorite fights of the year. And then obviously Bisping goes on to be the world champion, knocks out Luke Rockhold on a 3-day notice or some crazy thing like that. So Anderson Silva goes from, some would argue, beating the number 1 guy in the world, taking time off, and then he lost to Daniel Cormier by decision, short notice fight, UFC 200, and now he's fighting Brunson. So for Anderson, I just don't get it. Like, what's in it for him to fight a guy like Brunson? And do you want to see that? Like, do the fans want to see Anderson Silva versus Brunson? Because you talk about super fights, that's not a super fight.
It's not a super fight.
But Anderson's Anderson too, though. You know what I'm saying? So seeing Anderson get in there and do his thing, and he just, the way he addresses each fight, he's just so unique. I thought it was spectacular that he fought Cormier and took so little damage, and you know what I'm saying? Was able to go against a guy who took him down. I've always been impressed.
Heavyweight. Like, he was a heavyweight world champion, went to a decision with him.
And everyone, the world knows Anderson as a striker and as a masterful distance manager. But to me, like when I see him, especially when I see him get taken down and on his back and defending, I'm like, man, Anderson knows perfect distance for achieving and knocking his opponents out. But when he gets taken down, he knows the same distance and he knows how to use it defensively to avoid getting damaged. And by someone a weight class up, much heavier and much stronger, and Daniel Cormier, for him to survive the way he did. So it all depends on what Anderson we're going to get, right? So with Brunson, we don't know. Is he going to get out there? Is it going to be a jab while he's backing up, jab in your face knockout that everyone celebrates? They can care less who his opponent is because it's Anderson and he's back.
Yes.
You see, then that's what I think that people get excited about is you put Anderson in there against anybody, you can expect something spectacular, whether it's, I'm excited for it. Doesn't matter who it is.
He's a talent. No, he can do.
He's just a special.
No, he's one of the superstars.
Yes.
To me, it's the pros, cons. Pros, you got he's on UFC Mount Rushmore of best of all time fighters. Pound for pound, top 3. Some argue number 1, right? And so let's say he goes in there this fight, and in this weird world we live in mixed martial arts, where the MMA gods do not care who Anderson Silva is, and Brunson knocks him out in 30 seconds. What do we do with Anderson Silva?
Listen,
that's the pros and cons. Because pros of him fighting a guy like Daniel Cormier at UFC 200. Okay, you lost to a bigger guy by decision. Who cares? That's Anderson Silva. On to the next one. It's tough, so you kind of lost to Michael Bisping, who's the best guy in the world, but you knocked him out. It was the end of the round because his mouthpiece fell out. All right, it's Anderson Silva. But then Brunson, I'm just like, I don't get it, man.
Yeah.
They need him, but I don't get it.
Tough one. Yeah, we don't know what went into the decision-making process for the UFC, right?
But obviously it falls on Anderson too because he accepted the fight. But he's also talked about, I don't know if you saw this, Leo, and he's mentioned it a while ago. So you guys know the Conor Floyd stuff going on, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember, Anderson Silva was the first one to talk about fighting. But remember, he was going to fight Roy Jones, and that was like legit. And Dana was like, it's not happening. But they both wanted to fight.
Right.
And this is prime Anderson and not a prime Roy, but a good Roy.
A good boxer,
nonetheless. Whatever, Floyd's old now, but at the time Roy was younger, so that would have been an amazing fight. But he's the first one.
Right.
Do you guys see kind of that? And I see Nate Diaz applied for a boxing license. You see all these guys. Everyone wants to do it. Would you ever consider something like that? Or when you hear Anderson go, yeah, I want to fight Roy Jones still, are you like, oh, that's cool? Like you're open to all that stuff, or do you think it hurts the sport?
I think if you're talking about business, of course it can happen. Entertainment, but it's not my idea to become a fighter to do a box in the ring. So I want to.
It's kind of waters down the sport, like bit of a gimmick. Because I would pay to watch you and Wonder Boy do karate.
Karate or MMA?
Just karate.
Just karate.
Yeah, I'd be sick.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right?
It is true.
Dude, how sick would that be? Thinking of the pay-per-view. Lyoto Wonder Boy just karate?
It doesn't water down the sport. I think that the idea of, of Conor talking about boxing, I think it's great. I think there's still a percentage of boxing fans out there, who haven't crossed over. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
There's some people who are just
boxing's old school.
Yeah, and I think that for MMA, it's kind of like a little bit similar to when they let Ronda go do a little run in the WWE and have that little appearance over there, and go do the thing over there, or how they might let Brock come over. So this idea of of sharing fans and getting more fans to cross over when it's mutually beneficial, because boxing would also benefit from
Big time.
Conor dipping his toe over there with Floyd.
Big time.
So boxing benefits. MMA benefits if Conor goes over there and gets the respect of Floyd Mayweather to come in here and do this. Well, where'd this Conor come from? MMA. Let's go check it out. Let's go look into that. So I think that bottom line is there's more than enough weekends in the year to have big fights in both categories, and both promoters win because at the end of the day the consumer can buy a boxing match and then the next weekend buy an MMA match. But if they stick to one, then both guys only get half of the audience, so to speak.
And it's no different. Like Ludo, we had a bunch of fan questions asked about this, and you did when you did that grappling competition against Jake Shields. That's kind of no different, right? Like that's a bit of it's still combat
100%.
sport.
Yeah, it's still combat sport. Yeah, it's that fight because I like to challenge myself. So I train almost every day with Henry Heron and a bunch of guys. So I want to try. I want to challenge myself.
Yeah, and to have something and to have a little date
goal.
or a moment, something to train for, it always wakes
To
you up a
stay
little
disciplined,
earlier,
yes.
train a little harder,
Yes.
run a little further.
Yeah.
Just to have that something in mind, and it made
Do
perfect
you
sense.
want to do more of those? Would you be open to more of those?
Yeah, I want to do more, but now, no, I really want to come back to the UFC, man. I really want to come back to the octagon. I want to fight MMA. So, of course, I enjoy to fight jiu-jitsu. I enjoy to fight, karate sometimes. I train with my brother. We play around. We play like a points karate, something.
Speaking of your brother, I mean, he is just starching dudes in Bellator. I mean, just starching
He's 40,
dudes.
40 years old. 40 years old,
He's what?
40.
40
Oh, he's 40?
40 years old.
He's 40? Wow. You can't tell.
Yeah, it's
And he's just starching guys. No one wants to fight that
I
dude.
like real knockouts, both of them. I mean, his last two were just ridiculous, and his flying knee that
The
broke
flying.
guys.
Did you guys expect? Because you train with him too. Did you expect this sort of success with him?
Yes, I knew that because he had a very good camp, and his body's so young still, so he can kick fast. So
Very
he's
fast.
still fast more than almost the fighter that I know. No,
Really?
Even if he's 40 years old, but he's still fast like that. And also he trained with Nicky Curson, which is
wow.
good coach. He improves a lot our speed, our
That speed of sport.
speed of sport, yeah, our strength and everything about like a specific sport. No, so it's improved a lot, and you can feel that in your body. You
And
can feel
do you corner your brother when he's in Bellator? Typically?
Yes, I was cornering him
all the time?
Yes, yeah. The first fight I couldn't be there because of the USADA.
Oh, really? If you're
Yes.
suspended, you can't corner
Yeah, because
or be around it?
they didn't give my panel yet, so my sanction, so I couldn't be there.
So this last one, you were allowed to be in his corner
Yes,
because
I already have my sanction.
Suspension,
Yeah, my
everything's well.
suspension. Yeah.
Speaking of Bellator, I mean, you don't have to talk about it, but Bellator, your brother fought
Right.
on the same card, Halleck, and I think people view it one of two ways. I viewed it as, okay, he's doing it. He's taken MMA fights before, and I think it was 3-0, right? 3-0. So he's had some experience, and obviously he launched the Metamoris thing, which I compete in a lot. Huron, a lot of guys compete in, which I thought it was great for the sport of jiu-jitsu. And he was one of the first guys kind of put that platform on those super fights. Hashtag was the first UFC fighter to compete in that. But he goes from there. He runs in a little bit of a issue as far as paying guys,
Right.
like a business issue, business etiquette. And so he owes guys money. And then I see him sign with Bellator. And I thought it was a move and the way he proposed it was, and correct me if any of this is wrong, was to take the fight so he could pay his dues on what he owed to the jiu-jitsu community. Is that right?
I never heard him say those words. I
Okay.
think that's a fair assumption from the world to say, hey, if he's going to go fight over there and he's going to be making this money, is he doing that to pay people back? But yeah, without getting too much into it, the
You
whole,
don't have to, because he's
Yeah.
your brother, but
Yeah,
you guys, there is.
Well, it's out there, and the reality is he had a business in Metamoris, and that was his pilot business essentially. That was his first business venture of his life,
Which was a great idea.
yeah, and it came off to a good start there, and it got into some trouble financially, and ultimately, he has different reasons for why that became the case. And as his brothers, we always supported him and always, let him do his thing. And, I was there. I commentated on some shows. We always helped promote the shows. He don't saved the show a couple of times. Fought Josh Barnett on 3 days' notice.
Yeah.
And-
Talk about a good brother.
So
My brother asked me to fight Josh Bryan on 3 day notice. Like, you're out your mind. What's wrong with you? Hell no.
So
You fight him. You save the guard and get your ankle ripped off by that maniac. Let's keep going.
So anyways, he had his run-ins and he had his challenges with different athletes who he was unable to pay or didn't pay. And that created a certain degree of controversy. And, I always kind of said, man, it's his business. He can do whatever he wants. People are going to do that as they are. The challenge was when he got, me and Hidon involved in his business in a deceptive and, in a how should I say, irresponsible.
What do you mean
way.
involved?
It's a topic for a different discussion. But the bottom line is when he... brought us into it, to the business. And I was never an owner, a partner, anything. I had nothing, no business involvement at all. I just literally would show up, smile, commentate, and help out. And
You did a great job, yeah.
Thanks, yeah. So it was just that extent. And then when he, recruited our help in his business venture, but did it in a way that did not adhere to, the basic rules of integrity and, business integrity and fair and
Which you guys are known for.
right. And that's where it became a challenge, So the concern for us was that if Halik is operating this way with his own brothers, then who wouldn't he operate this way with? And that's when I became concerned. I said, no, I don't share these business practices that he's using right now. Even before I got involved at all and he asked for my help at all, he was, engaging in less than favorable business practices with other fighters and not paying. But I didn't know the circumstances of those situations. When it became personal, when I became involved personally and I experienced his way of doing business, that's when I said, wow, I don't share this at all. And my biggest concern was there's a degree of people out there who look at Hidon, Rener, and Halik and say, oh, if I trust and I have a certain faith and trust in Hidon and Rener because I associate with them and they've done right by me all along, whether it's my personal friends, whether it's academy students, instructors, family, whatever it is, people who trust in Hidon and Rener because they know how we do business. When they apply that integrity and that trust that they have in Hidon and Rener in Halik automatically, that's a liability because
for you guys in your
yes,
business.
For me and in my relationships. Mm-hmm. And when that became the case, I felt that personally. It wasn't because I witnessed something, although it could have been based on that. It was when it was personal with me and with Hidon, and there was no way anybody could tell me that it was anything other than what it was. When I experienced it, that's when I said, okay, I can't let anyone that I know or care about, any of my personal connections and friends, risk being subjected to the same dishonest business practices and lack of integrity in business. Because if it happened to you and I didn't say anything beforehand, I would feel responsible because you may trust him because of our relationship.
100%.
And that's where it became personal for me. And, I had to, put the word out that we are no longer in any way engaged in any business. And nor do we recommend anyone do the same because of what we've experienced. And you can imagine what a tough decision that was. And let me just say this, the possibility for that not to have had to gotten to that point. In other words, the options for Halik to say, hey, let's do this right. Here's how we resolve this the right way. Those options were made available. And when they were disregarded, that's when I said, okay, I have nothing, there's nothing else I can do to help you help yourself. That's it. And that was the end of that. And then of course,
that must have been a tough decision.
One of the toughest, but
did you do it by phone or in person or by email?
Well, no, this is a lot of email communication between the family. And then I sent a notification, a letter out to the certified training centers. We have about 400 instructors, 120 plus schools around the world that are direct academies and certified training centers of ours that we've personally certified. And these are like really close friends over the years. And I said, man, there can be, these people all have to know where we stand on this, because I knew without any fraction of a doubt that a large degree of the population, even outside of our direct, contacts and friends,
For sure.
had a great degree of trust in me and Hiron. And that we worked very hard our entire lives to earn and uphold, and that would automatically associate and give the same level of trust to Halik, which, again, that was one of the toughest decisions, but I couldn't risk anyone that I cared about being subjected to the same interaction and integrity lacking business dealings with that. Now, I don't know what the future holds, but I hope for the best, but it's,
and that's fair.
It's tough.
And what's Horion? What's your father say about this? Because he's obviously, I mean, you're talking about a guy who started the UFC, brought you guys to Torrance, was doing the first UFC really fights out of his backyard, which you guys grew up with.
Yes.
He's a businessman through and through. That's where you get it from, my friend.
Yeah.
So
much of it.
What does he say about this situation?
He's the dad.
Because he has to protect his name too.
Well, the dad has a unique role in all of this as well. You know what I'm saying? And the dad is kind of like the umbrella, and the brothers can have a certain understanding, and the dad's gonna have his own take on it. Naturally, the interaction was directly with me and Hiron, so it affected us differently. And it's easier for someone on the outside to say, forgive and forget kind of thing. And I can do that. I can forgive and forget. But I also have a liability on my hands here because of the personal relationships that I've developed over my life.
Sure.
And if I feel, and which is exactly the only reason I took any action, if it only would affect me and I knew that for the rest of my life, I wouldn't have said anything to anyone. But as soon as I knew there was a chance that type of interaction could spill over into other people that trusted the Hiron and Rener and what we represent, that's when something had to be said. And, and here we are. So
is it fair to say though, and I'm giving, you obviously would know more than me. I've had my run-ins with Halik, and I've never had a bad experience. With Meta Morris, he paid me and very handsomely at that. And is it fair to say that Halik's not a bad guy? He's just in over his head, maybe, and I think he maybe got in over his head and then went down this vicious cycle where he thought he can make up, and then before you know it, you're in so much debt, and you made these deals that you can't, and these promises. So, is it fair to say, because he doesn't have a degree in business, he has no background in business?
Certainly fair to say that he has no formal business education other than that which he learned on the go with Meta Morris. I think that's real. Now, he grew up teaching at the academy with us.
Different animal.
Yeah, growing up around that business, but nonetheless, that's one jiu-jitsu academy that has, 600-700 students, and that's great. But when you get into this business of entertainment and promoting and bills and accounts and vendors and production and all the things that that encompasses, that's an entirely different animal.
He had a business partner though.
He had a business partner, who helped finance a lot of that, which was a very generous and also was a student and former instructor of the Gracie Academy, which is where Halik met the guy, and he believed in the project, he believed in the idea. But nonetheless, so regarding how it got to where it was, it is fair to say that he learned on the go.
Yes.
And I dismissed much of the unfortunate kind of occurrences that happened up until that point in his life based on that, and saying, man, he's just new to the game. He's paying fighters too much money.
Yeah.
The shows are not receiving that much money.
i.e. Shab.
Yes, and many others, right? And you're not at the top of the list of payouts.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm just saying, guys are getting paid for grappling matches, and it's a simple mathematical equation, right? You have your expenses, you have your overhead, you have your anticipated profit or revenue, and if you don't do all the math beforehand, and you're paying 3 times what you should be paying fighters, naturally you're not going to be able to pay the next show because you're still catching up on the previous show.
And that's why I chalked it up. I'm like, all right, oh
Fuck, are you serious? God damn it.
Is that the whole office or just us?
Whole office.
Power just shut off in the official Fire and Kid Big Brown studio. The entire office building has been shut down.
Listen, we panicked. Let's be honest.
We panicked.
Let's not hide the reality of the situation.
Hopefully we didn't lose all the audio we just dropped.
Listen, we're hoping that the original interview was captured up in that first 40 minutes or so. But there was a moment of panic in here, and then at this point,
we were getting deep into it. I was really into
the conversation was getting deep, and we thought about just turning it in and letting the interview end at that point.
We did,
but instead we chose to break Big Brown, new ground on the Big Brown podcast, and continue the party. Even though we have no electricity here, the camera's on battery, the iPhone recording. So forgive us for the lower quality audio recording here, but But guess what? It was two options: either turn it in or wrap it up with the modification variation here. And we're glad we're doing this because the conversation was critical. So forgive us for the video, for the darkness in here, and for the audio quality. However,
This is big brown, darker brown.
this was
We went dark.
this is dark brown.
This is dark brown. This is dark brown
This might
live.
become a new thing,
This
bro.
is dark brown live.
This might become a new thing.
Just
because-
doing it all dark.
Yeah, well, so interestingly enough, here we are, you guys. And
So we left off basically where you were at.
well, so you said, man, do you just attribute this situation that it's arrived with Halleck, do you attribute that to his lack of business acumen? And the answer is yes. I attributed all the interactions and all the challenges that existed with his other dealings with other people, his inability to pay here and there. I kind of attributed it all there. But as an observer of his challenges that he was having, I said, man, the guy simply doesn't know how to manage numbers and finances and a business. And that was one. When it came personal, and some of the personal interactions I had, and you know how some of the smallest interactions you can have with someone can tell you the most about them.
Sure.
And when I had those very specific interactions with his dealings with me and Hiron, and we had our interactions with him, and his response and his behavior in those situations of intense degree were, like I said, lacking in the basic, ethics of business and integrity. That's when I said, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with inability to manage numbers. This has everything to do with not understanding how to run good business and to how to manage relationships and to treat people fairly and to do it the right way. And once I saw that with me, I said, man, I can't let anyone I know be subjected to this same thing. I lost in this situation. The details we won't bore you guys with, but anyone else that I know will not be subjected to the same business practices without at least me giving them a chance to know that how he does business is completely different and is in no way reflective of the principles and the ways of business that me and Hiron have been so protective of and so careful to develop over the years.
So where are you and Hiron at right now with Halleck? Do you guys are you speaking terms? Nothing. You guys are separate ways?
Again, family is family, right? They always say.
Blood is thicker than water.
Blood is thicker than water.
$100,000 is very thick.
But there's also an element of when a relationship is lacking in basic principles and basic integrity, you have to be very, it's like, okay, family or not, right? How many people have family members all over the world that, they don't talk to and they don't share values with and they don't communicate and they don't have deals with. And I think as long as that's lacking, that, there's nothing to discuss because we don't agree on how to address anything. Right? It could be anything from, so anyways, it's a tough situation right now. Again, I hope the future is brighter than the present in this regard. We hope. But again, to me, Halleck has a lot of evolving to do in how he interacts, especially in the business sense, but obviously that rolls over into the personal sense, especially when you talk about family here. So it's unfortunate. I wish him nothing but the best in terms of figuring out his life because, I don't know what it's like to be in his situation and he doesn't know what it's like to be in my situation and nor does anybody know what anybody else's situation is truly like, right? But, I hope it works out and I hope things get better, but it's not an ideal situation and, we are where we are and we have to learn and grow and I learned and I grew from it, in what terms, what to do, what not to do. And there it is, you guys, the challenges of family and business and the associating the two.
Well, I think, we'll wrap it up on this. I think for Halleck, it'd be good if he learns from this and owns up to his mistakes and then the family gets back together.
Yeah, but that's the challenge, though. To own up to a mistake, you have to identify a mistake. Maybe
there's so many.
Maybe
you don't know where to start.
Yeah, or we made it very clear what those were, and his failure to recognize them even as mistakes.
Yeah, there's something going on. There's a mental block there.
And that's why I'm saying you can't begin to, right? A problem well understood is a problem half solved. But to him, there isn't even a problem, and that's where it becomes, that's where it's very offensive, and we can't repair it. I can't identify the problem more than I already have, and his inability to recognize that when all we've ever done was tried to help him.
Sure,
it's I don't know, and again, we can't.
Well, I hope you guys figure it out.
Thank you, man. It's and I don't, whether it's a family member or not. By the way, this could be a business associate that I have no blood relation to. I don't want to have any negative business relationships with anybody, right?
No, it doesn't matter who it is.
Right, in my mind,
so
if people, as long as people operate on the same, principles and integrity as we do, it doesn't matter who you are, right? There's no preferential treatment to family or not. I'll give anyone the fair shot, a fair chance. But the minute that integrity is stripped from the relationship, I say, oh, all right, count me out until the integrity's back in.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, Lyoto looks like he's falling asleep or he's dying to kick a bag.
He's meditating, bro.
So let's get we'll get some fan questions here and let you guys get out of here.
Dark brown breakdown.
It's so dramatic. It's so dramatic.
Maybe when the conversation gets dark, you guys should just turn the lights off like this.
Bam.
Yeah,
Straight,
anytime it gets a dark situation.
Straight 0 dark 30 up in here.
All right, so Ramon82 says, Henner, what do you think of the state of jiu-jitsu today, and where would you like it to go? And also, Lyoto, have you ever had a self-defense situation outside of MMA?
Lyoto goes
Like a
first.
street fight?
Have you ever defend yourself in a real fight or avoided a fight because of your karate training?
Yes, I had a situation that, because self-defense is not about just technique itself. No, you have to think about sometimes some situation can happen in your life, but you can avoid the situation. So of course I already avoid so many situations in my life. When I was like 22 years old, somebody messed with my wife in Brazil. But I just avoid that. No, I just avoid that. I just got out of the place that I was and try to avoid the situation. I think it's one of the most important lessons that you have to learn through martial arts. No, how to avoid the conflict, how to avoid the brawl and the stuff like that.
Yeah, they always say the hardest fight is the one you walk away from.
Yes.
It's so hard because your ego wants to do what? Represent. You want to Randy Couture snap kick the guy in the face, right? You want to do that to your opponent.
Especially with your wife involved.
Yeah, your wife and with your ability, the skills that you have. But I always say this, the people who know how to fight are the least likely to get into a fight.
Correct.
Why is that?
Because their egos aren't as big.
And also, I'm so expensive.
They know the
to fight
damage.
For free, man.
Yeah.
Our audio is whack right now, but Lyoto was saying that he's too valuable to be fighting for free, basically.
It's correct.
Which makes perfect sense. The crowd over there, wherever he was at the beach over there in Brazil, the crowd has to pay for that fight. So he's going to fight for free. And regarding the state of jiu-jitsu right now, I couldn't be happier. Let's be real, you guys.
With the UFC?
Yeah, well, listen. The fact that there exists a vehicle that my family was, part of the beginning of, but that has grown to this monster that it is right now. The fact that there exists a vehicle that every single weekend there's someone saying, "Oh, he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. Look at that rear naked choke. Look at the guard." The fact that guard, mount, back mount, chokes, arm locks. The fact that all these are common household names now. Is amazing. Now, the challenge is when grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, or any average person across the country watches a UFC fight, they're looking at that saying, jiu-jitsu looks spectacular, and it looks like it's one of the integral parts of the situation. The problem is, I don't want anything to do with what those people are doing in that cage. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get my face punched in. I don't want to get bloody. I don't want to get armbarred like that. I don't want to get choked. So even though UFC is an incredible commercial for jiu-jitsu and it's becoming familiar to people around the world, it's challenging because the image of jiu-jitsu and MMA is not jiu-jitsu the way we practice or teach it. So that's why we started the Gracie Breakdowns, was because our thought was if an amazing jiu-jitsu moment happens in a UFC fight, right? And one of the earlier ones was Fabricio Verdum submitting Fedor, was one of the first breakdowns that went viral.
The triangle.
Yeah, triangle armbar right there that Fabricio did. So our thought was, wow, that's amazing. Let's break this down. It was based on some friends of ours, and the Valente brothers in Miami were like, yo, you guys should do a video explaining how that move worked and how GSP wasn't able to submit Dan Hardy, so things like that. And we did these breakdowns.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, so anyways, it's just an educational vehicle, and it's amazing. Like, we'll be in the airport right now, and the TSA will be, like the TSA security guys, like, dude, I love the breakdowns. Yeah. So these people are very, and even if they're not practitioners of the art, they just love understanding better what they're looking at. And the amount of people who have started training jiu-jitsu at academies around the world that I have nothing to do with because of what they've seen in Gracie Breakdowns is just is unbelievable. And in that sense, we're very happy with where jiu-jitsu is.
You guys also have a pioneer right now. Granted, he needs to fight soon. I think he might fight Masvidal next, but Damian Maia, who's just choking guys out left and right.
That guy is the free info. That guy's
He's kind of one of the guys right now going, you can just do jiu-jitsu and win fights.
Yeah, at his level, I mean, he's just an amazing, he's adaptive, and he understands the rest of the game, but he's smart enough to know...
His basics are so good.
Yeah, he understands the rest of it well enough, but he's smart enough to know that he is not going to stand there and go toe-to-toe if he can get the guy to the ground and do what he does best. Yeah. And,
for a while there, he thought he was a kickboxer.
Right, and he had to learn, right?
Yeah, the hard way. Let's do 2 more, Chin.
Cool. One Stu Beef is asking you guys, a lot of fan favorite fighters are moving into the tail end of their careers. Who are some of your favorite up-and-coming talents in MMA?
We spoke about one of them, Brian Ortega, would be a guy. Yeah, anyone you see, Lyoto, that you're training with, any young up-and-comers or maybe someone in the UFC already? I mean, you got guys like Yair Rodriguez, you got Paige Van Zandt, you got Sage Northcutt, Mickey Gall. I'm trying to think of the young crop, but there's nothing like... There's no young, promising guys, especially at the heavier divisions.
Yeah.
Not really. They're all kind of older right now.
They're all kind of older, and I'm with T-City all the way, man. This kid's going to come up and do big things in terms of young guys.
Yeah, I'm not just saying that because T-City's our boy. I mean, the kid's undefeated, and he's...
What about this guy from that fought a lot of us? The guy...
Oh, Francis Gano?
Ngannou?
He's 30, though.
His story?
He's 30, but as far as prospects, he's by far the biggest heavyweight prospect we've had in, I don't know, probably at least 6 years. At least. Yeah, but there's not a lot of kind of new blood. I mean, new blood. Cody Garbrandt's a new blood guy. He's world champion.
That was exciting, yeah.
There's not a ton of new blood right now. What else you got, Jen? Let's do one more.
Sure. Supremerson64 is asking Lyoto, when you faced John Jones, did you notice any flaws in his game that, if given a second chance, you could exploit?
So, of course, everyone has the weak part of the game, and I still think that John Jones is a complete fighter, of course, but if I would fight him again, maybe I'll keep the fight on stand and try to figure out some opportunity to finish the fight. But if the fight goes to the ground, maybe nowadays I have more weapon to use against him. Of course, he's a tough fighter. He's a tough opponent. It's very hard to say anything if you're not in that situation. But that's what I can say.
That's fair.
Awesome.
Well, guys, this didn't end in the perfect world. The power shut off in our office building, including the Big Brown studio here. But we figured out, and hopefully the audio is safe, so we can drop this gem.
Awesome, bro.
I love both you guys. I'm so appreciative that you guys spent time to come down here. I know Lyoto's chomping at the bit to train and kick bags, and then obviously you're running this insanely successful academy and training these monsters. So I can't thank you guys enough, man.
Honored, bro. Thank you for having us. And, you guys are out there. Those of you guys who are fans of, Fighter the Kid, Big Brown Breakdown, and UFC, the question you have to ask yourselves is, what will it take for you to go from being a fan, and highly knowledgeable fans at that, to an actual practitioner of the arts? And what are you waiting for, right? How long? And why not do it?
Yeah.
Right? In terms of the benefits, the life benefits, the spiritual benefit, the physical benefit.
Yeah, you don't have to start doing jiu-jitsu or sign up for karate at Lyoto's Academy in the hopes or in the to have the aspirations of getting
to fight. Not at all.
None at all. I think as far as discipline, get in shape, just a healthy lifestyle. There's nothing.
Well, a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm overweight, so I'm going to lose weight first, and then I'm going to go do jiu-jitsu."
No,
it's backwards.
Backwards, yeah.
Go do jiu-jitsu to lose the weight, right? People have said this to me, Henry, I'm going to lose weight, then I'm going to come train. I really want to do it.
Yeah.
Those people, I've never seen someone.
They never come in.
Never had someone say, I'm going to lose 20, 30 pounds and then start. It never happened before.
It's an excuse.
It doesn't happen. It never happened. I do see people come in at 400 pounds and lose 100 pounds in 2 years from training and becoming addicted to jiu-jitsu. It's just got to overcome that initial. Now, people who are on the fence like that, who are like, man, I don't know if I can actually do jiu-jitsu. MMA is too crazy. Go to GracieUniversity.com, our website. The first 3 lessons are free. You literally can unlock and you log on. It's right there available in your library. You watch the first actual 3 lessons that you would learn at an academy.
Yep.
And once you see those, if you're like, man, these guys explain it very well. It looks super easy and fun. I want to go learn that. Then you go find a school and you get started from there. But the introduction can be in your house.
And if they want to find the Gracie Breakdown, it's obviously on YouTube.
YouTube.com/Gracie Breakdown, Facebook.com, Gracie Breakdown. It's Jiu-Jitsu's for everyone, you guys. Literally, you know who just started? Vince Vaughn.
I know.
He's been training for months with us now. Super dedicated. Trains 3 times a week with me and Hidon. And Vince Vaughn, in between his crazy schedule and Vince Vaughn cannot afford to get hurt.
No.
He's got travel. He's got movies after movie after movie. So if that guy can do jiu-jitsu, guess what? Anyone listening to this podcast can do jiu-jitsu.
Correct.
And
you're just at Rener Gracie, at Lyoto Machida, yeah?
Yeah.
On Instagram, Twitter. And then if they want to find your academy, Lyoto, I'm sure there's a link on your Instagram.
the website is Machida Academy.
Machida Karate Academy.
MachidaKarateAcademy.com.
Yes.
Boom. Well, thank you guys, man.
Much respect.
It's an
Brandon.
honor.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Respect.
you.